We'll start from about here, Chris. Yeah.
There you go, Chris. You can start that.
Put that in the
It's
notes,
always the best
actually.
bits before, though.
It is, yeah.
Me and Martin's before marathon talk.
Yeah.
Me and Martin and Tom would just be talking about who's doing what, drugs, whatever, as in the sports and like
it's the real
that,
chat, isn't it?
Yeah, like did you see that performance? Yeah, how unreal is that and that? And then we go, oh, and welcome to marathon talk. Yeah, it's amazing performances at the weekend.
I've started coming down, and I'm like, I don't want to start speaking to Ben because there's something.
Yeah, that's it. We don't try
Yeah,
to talk
save
to each
it.
other.
Yeah.
Because you got all the
it's
good stuff
almost
off
a bit
camera.
like, let's just not speak to each other for 10 minutes.
But then for the last episode that went out, Chris had cut a load of really good stuff off the first bit, hadn't he?
Yeah.
He'd missed it, and we were like, "Where's that?"
You need to have it out at the end of the year. You need to do
usually-
outtakes. They're the best bits.
Yeah, that's a good
Usually
idea.
Chris has got like enough time and everything. This time was a bit. He said he didn't have as much time to work on it, so he literally just rounded it back to the minute because it's usually us two talking shit for the first 10 minutes. So he just cut it to a minute, and then that was the start of the podcast. But actually, there was some funny bits before it, just this off chance. Yeah. So we got him to add it on, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Marathon talk outtakes were by far the best.
Yeah.
It was the noises that were going on outside and stuff like that. We had one day where there was just like cranes going off the whole time and just hilarious stuff. Kids coming in. I need a wee wee.
I didn't realise it had come back.
Oh, it came back straight away with Dina Castor, but it's bombed.
But
yeah,
that's what I mean. I didn't even know until recently.
Oh no, it's been a couple of years, I think.
Yeah.
They're the bits that make it real, though, aren't they? I mean, it's good to have the polished sound and everything, but you want the actual real talk, don't you?
Yeah.
You do need the real talk.
Pete coming in halfway through saying he needed a poo, stuff like that. It's like, you are on the pod.
Yeah. It's usually us battling the dogs, isn't it? Because they're not always like this, are they? So if they're in the episodes, you normally
just waiting. It's going to just kick off in a bit.
Definitely.
Let's get on with it then.
Yeah. Go on.
Welcome to the RUNcensored podcast with me, Ben Mountser, Gary House, and our special guest today, Holly Stables. Holly, welcome. It's great to have you here. How was the journey up?
Journey was, not as long as the speed project, so nothing will ever be that long. So this felt quite short, but yeah, it was fine. It's good.
You did the speed project?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I don't know if anyone knew.
Was he there as
haven't
well?
spoken about it much. I don't know. I had some pacer. I just saw the back of him.
There goes that conversation. That's all we were talking about.
End of podcast. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that is the title of this week's episode, isn't it? The Speed Project. You've obviously just done it recently, Holly. Gary was involved. Saw it on the socials, looked amazing. But I'll be honest, until a few years ago, James Poole sort of put it on my radar because I'm good friends with him. I didn't really know much about it. So let's probably start with, what is it?
Yeah, so actually it was James that sort of got me roped into it as well. And so the Speed Project started, I think it was about 10 years ago, but it started off primarily as a relay, and it still is a relay. So 6 people running from Santa Monica to Las Vegas. And it was started by someone called Niels, who decided with his mates that they loved doing these like run adventures, and they would like run so many miles to a bar or something or for some food, and then they decided, let's make it even longer, why don't we go to Las Vegas? I mean, it sounds bonkers, doesn't it? I don't know exactly how that happened.
They probably had a few beers.
Yeah. So they decided to do it sort of as a relay and see how long it would take them. So their route that they found, I guess that was pre-Strava maybe, or Komoot or Google Maps, but they mapped it out, and that's what's called the OG route, and it's 340 miles, so it's actually a bit longer than I did. And that's the route that the relays take.
Yeah.
Well, it was until they decided, because the actual ideas behind the Speed Project is there's no rules, no spectators, and so you can do your own route. So you can basically map a shorter route if you want. And it wasn't until literally a couple of years ago that someone started doing that. Everyone just thought, we'll just do the OG route because it's already mapped out for us. We know, where we can stop and get food or water, so let's just do that. And then it wasn't till, it was only maybe about 2-3 years ago that one of the teams said, hang on a minute, surely there must be a quicker way. And that's when they found the Power Lines route, which is through the desert, more off-road sections. There's also like a mountain way you can go. There's so many ways you can go. So that's how it started. And then I think it was 2019 or 2018 was when they decided to do this, let's just try and see if we can get one person to do it at a time, the solo project. And that was when I think James Paul did the first one. And I was actually invited because it's invitation only. So you get an invite, normally because you know someone that's done it, or you're, I don't know, on Niels's radar, or you may have messaged him and then he might decide to invite you. And then you have an application form that you fill in, which isn't like an application form. It's not like a form that you'd fill in for a race. It's more things about like, why do you want to do it? Like, what's your reasoning behind it? It's a bit more, write an essay. So you do that, and then they'll contact you and let you know if you're in. And then you have to pay the very small sum to do it. And then that's it. So yeah, it started in 2019, and I think it was like 10 runners wanted to do solo, because like not many people are going to jump at the chance to do 500 kilometers, 340 miles, unsupported, or there's no checkpoints, there's nothing like that. You just get yourself from A to B.
What's it up to now? You said it was 10 at the start.
So this year was the biggest year ever, and it was 41. And this year it was specific.
That was double, wasn't it? It was only
it was double because it was
year.
20 last year. So this year it was all about repping women to do it, and just people who maybe wouldn't be something that they'd easily be able to do. So there was a lot of, so Malcolm, who's one of the first guys to do it as well, he brought quite a few women from like the Bronx and Compton, from where he lived, to come and do it, who'd never, ever contemplated doing something like this.
As part of a team?
Solos.
Solos, wow, okay.
Yeah.
So when you talk about 41 people doing it, that's 41 solos,
Solo.
not including the team.
Oh yeah, so the relays are separate. That starts maybe, I think we started on the Monday, they start on the Friday, and this year, again, I think was there like 60 teams?
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird because we go, like I went specifically to help Holly.
We don't see any of them, do we?
You kind of turn up and Holly and Pete are there, and then you go to a little meeting thing, which was nice, cool and everything. But I was like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah. I think we're all a bit like that. Yeah.
Is
like a briefing.
it quite relaxed? Is that what you mean? Or?
Oh, definitely relaxed.
It's very relaxed, isn't it?
But it was like, the competitive side of me was like, is this a race? Or like,
yeah.
And I get it, and I get the whole ethos and everything. So then you kind of quickly, you look at all the people, and they're from all different backgrounds and everything, and you just don't have anything to do with the relay. We were
it's totally separate.
We were finished in
separate.
Vegas, and then like obviously Holly's asleep or whatever, and you're just looking at your phone. You're like, oh right, the relays are starting.
Yeah.
And
So
you're
it
like
almost feels like a
sleep deprived,
thing.
food deprived. You've been doing it all week, and it's like,
here we go again.
yeah.
And also, to be clear as well, the relays are rapid.
Yeah.
Bearing in mind that some of the solos, like also part of the solo team this year, was the first adaptive athlete to ever do it. So Jackie, big shout out to Jackie if she's listening. She is a blade runner, and so she did the whole thing.
Wow.
Yeah, with a blade, like going across the desert.
That's got to be the first time, right? That someone has
Yeah.
done that.
Like for example, the power lines that we did together, which took us about 5 hours, just under. It took her 24 hours.
Yeah.
To do that section.
I think I saw early on she's having all kinds of trouble with like
with the stump was really swollen,
and swollen. So,
but I guess the sand doesn't help either.
Yeah,
as well,
like proper hardcore.
Yeah.
So this year was like no other, I guess. But yeah, then the relays start on Friday, and the strict rules. It's six people in the team, and it has to be. I think it has to be 3 or 4 women. I can't remember. I don't know enough about the relay, and they're basically just tagging, and they can do as much or as little as they want. Like you could have someone who does 100 miles, and then the rest of the people do whatever they want. But most people start off, it's carved up into 10K sections.
Yeah.
But as it's got more competitive, they've worked out that some of the teams have ridiculously fast runners, like Olympians, ex-Olympians, and they're tagging like every 400 meters, and then even towards the end, they're doing every 200 meters.
Jeez.
So to give you an idea, this year's record was broken, and it was 28 hours.
Wow. And what's the distance again?
340 miles.
My God.
To work that out.
That is quick.
Are they sticking to the 340 or can they do?
I say that, I think so. It's anything between 300 and 340. Yeah.
Even still at 300, that's impressive. Isn't
Yeah.
it? So there's real tactics involved.
Yeah, and the second team came in 4 minutes after.
Wow.
It's super close.
That is really competitive.
They did have slightly cooler weather because we had this weird heat wave for like 4 days, didn't we? Then it dropped off a bit, but
What's interesting about it as well is that for a challenge of that like scale, you'd think it'd just be about completion, like the Barkley marathons we talked about, not so much about the time. But this seems to be very much about first cross the line sort of thing. Like, whereas we were saying with Barkley the other week, if you finish Barkley, you finish Barkley. It doesn't matter if you're the 10th person that year to finish, you've finished it. And I suppose it's the same with this, but also you were going for a record as well, weren't you? Is that correct?
Yeah, although that quickly became apparent that wasn't going to happen in that heat. Like no one
it's
got
hard to
near.
equate, isn't it? I think.
Well, it's a beast of a challenge, isn't it? Yeah.
And also if people are running different distances. So it's not like you're running the same course. That's the weird thing about it. Although you said it is about time and placing, I think the whole ethos behind it is it is about completing TSP. But obviously...
But has it become more about the time
I
now?
think so,
what I quite like was, like, seeing Neil's and stuff, they do... Like you could just go down the line of, it's just for the journey and completion and stuff, but they do really they back the fact that people want to do it fast and stuff like that. Still,
maybe you've got a bit of a mix then, because I know
definitely a mix.
James is very much of the I'm just out to do it, isn't he?
Like if you're out for an adventure, you'll get adventure. If you're out to try and push yourself to the limit in terms of finishing fast, you can do that as well, I think. And then there's everything in between, because like Holly said, there's all different routes, there's all different teams. Like from the outside looking in, at first, from the relay point of view, I thought, well, that's kind of just a bunch of influencers out to make content, but it's actually not. It's like Holly said, there's legit runners being really competitive, and there's people just out for a massive adventure. Yeah, it's a unique event, the most unique event I've probably been a small part of. Yeah,
that's what makes it stand out, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. It is actually completely unique because it's basically it's organised, but it's unorganised. You start and it's you get to the finish how you want, as long as you're on your feet. Yeah, you get to the finish any way you want. So you can have some people did it unsupported as well. So some people just had a pack and did it there by themselves, which is what James did last year. So and then some people have people helping them, but then they stay in motels.
I see.
So they'll even get picked up and driven somewhere, and then they go back to the start.
Got you.
And then, people stay in RVs, or some people just bivvy. Some people have RVs and pickup trucks. So when you're doing the power lines, because you're off road,
there's different convoys.
There's so many different ways of doing it. Some people have bikes, some people have motorbikes, some people, just have nothing.
Wow. So is there categories of like unsupported?
There is. There's unsupported, but there's still not. There's no category.
No.
It's like they'll
for example,
say.
Like I think you said at one point when we were out there, like James was on the list of.
Yeah,
like
he was third, wasn't
third
he?
or fourth or whatever. Yeah. But he'd started on the Sunday, and so it was just. But that's just how far away he was from Vegas, and then it kind of sorts itself out.
Yeah.
But everyone's just lumped in together, and it is good from that point of view.
Really unique.
I kind of selfishly, I kind of wish, not wish, but because I get there as fast as you can. But like from our point of view, we didn't really see anyone as soon as we left Santa Monica, apart from like
we saw Parley. Oh no, we saw Abraham.
Third Abraham, who finished third. Parley, Holly won't have seen much, I don't know, but we saw her crew a couple of times.
Yeah, you saw her more than me.
Yeah, we bumped in. We were kind of leapfrogging with their crew a couple of times, and the lad who you knew from London, another UK,
Jonty,
this Jonty guy, we passed him at one point.
Yeah, we did.
Outside of that was it. So a total of 4 people, including Holly.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the challenge in a minute, and we'll talk about the support and how important it is, but just wind the clock back, because last time we filmed for the podcast, or one of the last times we filmed for the podcast, I think you were due to travel out and fly out that night.
Yeah.
And it nearly didn't happen, did it? So do you remember? Like, I think there was some issue.
Heathrow, because I've never flown from Heathrow in my life.
Have you not?
No.
You're such a pumpkin.
Don't get that much.
I'm only an hour from Manchester, so it's not like I'm not flying from some random airfield.
I'm amazed you managed to get on the flight then.
Yeah, well, that's it. So it just so happened this time that the whole place was shut down 24 hours before I was meant to fly out, but I was actually flying out quite late. Jake, the photographer, he was flying out on Friday. On the day his was cancelled, wasn't it? And really
it was a nightmare for Jake. We didn't think Jake was going to make it.
That's sort of why I mentioned it, because that must have really freaked you out in terms of race preparation, because you can put all that planning in, and then when you can't get your key support crew there, and your photographer there,
that was it, wasn't it? I remember saying I was like, I don't even know if I'm going to get out there.
Thank God.
That's a horrendous situation to be in, isn't it?
Yeah.
It wasn't a great situation. I was like, Holly's I think Holly's panicking a bit here.
How are you feeling, Holly?
I wasn't too bad, but actually I should have been panicking because I realise now that they were massively instrumental, all of the boys, in getting me to the finish, 100%.
I think we'd have been screwed if just one of us hadn't been there
And
out of the whole
yeah,
team.
and I think if anything, like so basically it took Jake about 40 hours to get to us, and we didn't think he was going to come.
Wow. So that's Jake Bagley,
photographer, who was actually, I was a bit like, oh, well, if Jake can't come, at least we've got Peter who can film and stuff. But actually, we needed them both, didn't we? Like, Jake's photos were phenomenal, and also he was just a great person to have around, wasn't he? Just like he's kind
of been there, seen it, done it, hasn't he?
Yeah,
in these big challenges.
He's really calm. Yeah. He's really kind, and really just a really nice person to have around. Yeah. And then Peter, who's like a good friend of mine, who creates amazing films and is a through hiker, so he's done like the PCT, the PNT, AT, everything, and I've always loved his work, so to have him involved, he was like, yeah, I'm definitely up for it. But then he arrived and he actually was really sick.
So I got off the plane.
He had the worst
I went
fever.
from Heathrow to LA, and I got through the queue. It's a massive immigration queue, whatever it is, visa queue, immigration. That's it.
Yeah, it was
immigration, isn't it? Yeah,
true.
she couldn't come out, and I'm like, and I was due to meet Peter because we were coming in at a different time. No, I'd never met him, and he come over where we were going to get an Uber. We come over, said hello, and he was sick as a dog, and to the point where, you know, when you don't want to touch anyone's hand,
he was green and sweaty.
He probably won't mind me saying this now, but and we got in the taxi, and the poor guy was clearly sick. Yeah, and I was thinking, oh my God, we're going to stick this guy in an RV with us all week.
Yeah, honestly, we were like...
So that must have been another fear, like picking up.
Well, we got to the Airbnb and he was like, right, you get in there, mate.
Come out.
He was quarantined in another part of the house.
Just please take it off.
Yeah. It felt like there were so many things that had sort of started to go wrong. Luckily, we'd got out there earlier. So we got out on the Thursday, so that was good.
So it was you and your husband, Pete,
Yeah,
out
so
there
we'd had time to just be like, at least we're here. But then it was like, oh my God, what if people can't come? But that's the great thing about actually the TSP community. So as soon as I said on the group, like, this could be an issue, a lot of people were like, don't worry, we'll find someone. We've got someone that could probably drive the RV for you or something. So I have no doubt that it would have sorted itself out. But I think this is one of the big things post the race that I realised that actually crew, and for any advice for people who want to do it, picking your crew and having crew that are close to you is really, really, really important.
Yeah.
So more so I realise now after. So I think it would have been a bit weird having complete strangers sort of looking after me.
Definitely.
So,
because it's quite an intimate
project,
isn't it?
Yeah, you just let yourself.
I think we kind of got lucky in the fact, well, we're not lucky because Holly had picked who was coming, but
I didn't know it was going to work.
I've only met Pete a couple of times, and we're spending the most time together in the RV with the other Peter and Jake. But I just wrongly assumed that Holly and Pete knew Jake for ages and knew him really well and everything. But yeah, so it turns out none of us boys knew each other really.
Do by the end of it though, yeah?
Yeah. And I understood then why, like, Jake basically got more and more involved, didn't he, to be honest?
Yeah.
Which was a bit of a godsend. And Peter too, as he came out of his bloody coma above the cab, because like you said, he was genuinely sick, and it was.
He came round though after a few days.
It was just good to have them around.
Yeah, I think he was still really sick. I mean, he was really sick afterwards as well. But I think he was just holding himself together because obviously he was trying to film as much of the running as well.
Yeah.
And I think he was frustrated. He did say himself he was frustrated he couldn't get out to some of the places, but he did get a lot of it. And in fact, he'd bought loads of little cameras, so we actually took a camera on one of our, was it at night? I can't even remember that bit that me and Pete did over the power lines. I mean, it all faced into one. So
that for like POV content. You sort of
so we've got some quite good stuff, and but yeah, I think that and also like Gary and Pete, husband Pete, I didn't really think that they would be doing as much running as they did, but they did because they had no choice.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, you have to come with me. I can't. It's not. It wasn't safe for me for a lot of it to be out. Definitely at night.
Yeah.
And also on the sections where it was quite long, where potentially I would run out of water, which I did run out of water. Yeah. So I needed them. I mean, I just would have just sat on the side of the road or something and just gone to sleep, or just. dawdled
like-
or
Yeah, we'll probably get into it, I guess. But Holly had done a really good plan, Holly and Pete, and everything, and it made sense in terms of Holly would do 100 miles essentially, and then pick up a pacer.
Yeah.
And
That was
then
the plan.
there's still 200 miles odd to go. So between me and Pete and my dodgy leg as well, it was like, that's probably sounds good. And I was doing a lot of the trail stuff, and Pete was doing a lot of the road stuff on the plan. And I think that still would have been a solid plan, but it did get hotter than we thought we thought it would
way
be.
hotter.
And even, yeah, everyone said it. So Holly was just getting too hot on day one, to be honest. So Pete took up the first one, I think, didn't he? At around 50-mile mark or something.
Yeah.
I guess you can do so much planning, but then there's also that unpredictability that you're going to get with a race of that length, aren't you?
Unpredictability, and also the fact that I'd never ran further than 170k.
Yeah.
So I was like, we and Gary had like several calls about it. It was like, well, we know we'll try and we'll do your 24 hours,
Mhm.
and then maybe have a
Like
nap
in my
or
head,
something.
because it was not all I was bothered about. Like, it was important to get from Holly at first, like how competitive, like how much you're going to push yourself, basically.
Yeah.
Because I've seen these things before and been involved with things. It's like it's going to be a minimal sleep job.
Yeah.
And we need to maximize like food job, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But again, you have to be so adaptable to everything. So she probably did get bored of me at first. Like the first few hours, I'm just like, what did you eat then? What did you take on then? What did you do then? Because that first day was just so important.
Yeah.
But then I'm trying to balance, well, she's really bloody hot here.
Yeah.
So there's only so much I can push you in terms of
Yeah.
Yeah.
get that down your neck or whatever, or we need to cool you down, or you need to go slower and stuff. And to a certain degree, you just have to let Holly get on with it, because she's good at doing it.
Yeah.
It was interesting that day one, I think.
In
It
terms
was,
of
yeah.
unpredictability, was the heat the thing that caught you out the most, do you think? Was that the most thing that surprised you?
Yeah, so I knew it was going to be, I'll be honest, so before going into this, I think I was a little bit blasé about, I got the things that were concerning me were the completely wrong. It was actually the other way around. So my biggest concerns before was the logistics and like the route and the crew, which I knew I shouldn't have been worrying about the crew, but I couldn't help it.
Yeah.
Like them bearing in mind they'd picked up this RV, which was massive.
It's bigger than my van, isn't it?
None of them had driven. Well, Jake had a bit, but you had to drive through downtown LA. Okay,
Jeez, how was that?
I don't know, but I think it terrified the shit
fun.
out of Pete.
It was so funny. Pete, quite rightly, he was, well, imagine the scale of kind of worrying about driving and stuff like this. He was like full on.
Yeah.
And I'm completely the opposite, kind of. Basically, I could have probably driven over a car and not realised, kind of thing. So Pete's driving the first section downtown LA. And then you got Jake as well going, I want to go to this part.
Jake was like, drop me off downtown. I've got this really good place. Pete was like, what?
I've never seen anything so... I mean, it's funny in hindsight.
But you're like, you're going to have to make this work, mate.
Like
We're not going down there.
Taking a late junction off a lane, and you can kind of do it here, but in a massive RV going across a couple of lanes, and remember, you like on over there in America, you can overtake in any lane, kind of,
Yeah.
So Pete starts doing this to take the exit, and there's someone coming up, and all I heard is, it's like, we'd only been in the bloody thing, we're in the race about an hour, and he's nearly wrote off, caused a pile up, just because Jake wants to get a certain picture. So it was like, right, okay, we all need to calm down.
Yeah,
I feel his pain.
I think he said to me afterwards that he was, every time, that's why he was so happy when he was running, because he didn't want to be driving. I mean, I think when he got out of LA it wasn't so bad, but so that was my thing. I was like, I'm just terrified I've got the route. Like, what if I've got the route wrong? I'd never been there before.
Yeah.
All I could do from the route was look on Google. I was doing like Street View to see where they could get to. Because the other thing in those sort of places, you would do like a side road or like a service road, and then it would just be a dead end and it would just be sand.
I see, yeah.
So I'd be like, okay, well, that doesn't work. Well, you'll have to meet me there. That's the nearest place you can get to me, because we didn't have a four-wheel drive like other people had, or a motorbike. So that's what it took me hours to work the what three words and everything for the meetups. So all I was thinking, like, what if I've done it wrong? And it wasn't actually till a couple of days before I double checked that sheet, and I'd actually put one of them was like what three words was in Dubai. So I'd done it completely wrong. So I checked that. So all I was thinking was like, what if I've done that wrong and that's all down on me, and I've got no cell signal or something? Where that I'm going to
And
be
those
terrified.
stupid boys are going to be in Dubai.
Yeah.
Another flight.
They're
missed from
in and out burger like all day.
Holly said we should be.
So that's what I was really worried about. And I was like, well, running, yeah, I'm a runner. I can run, you know? But actually, it was the heat, which was sort of unprecedented. We knew it was going to be hot, potentially.
Yeah.
The week before, the weather wasn't that bad. It was actually quite cool.
That's annoying as well, isn't it?
And then it just, like Monday, it was just bizarre. It was just like heat wave.
It was hot. Like we park up the RV. Like in the first couple of stops, we had to do some certain things. I can't even remember what it was to
Get water.
And stuff like this for later on in the day. And we were stopping outside a gas station or whatever, and the heat was coming up, and I'm thinking, Holly's just in the first few hours of this event, because at 4 a.m. Santa Monica, and they run off, and everything's nice, isn't it? It's nice temperature, but yeah, once it got hot, it was quite evident that, and like you're running, Holly's running at a decent clip as well, kind of thing. Yeah, so it was like we just have to manage day one, and if that means Holly takes more rest, she has to have some more rest. If we can push on, we can. But actually, when the sun went down, it was kind of all right again. But I think
Apart from that last section.
Yeah, it
Oh,
was just
going through sewage holes.
Oh,
And
my
like I'd
God.
picked Holly up, and it was an amazing part of the day because the sun was going down, and we were in. Well, I think Holly was in good spirits. Yeah, because it was just they're coming out of the heat. I think you'd done a really long section in the heat, hadn't you? And ran dry. Because when I'd gone down to see her and Pete, first thing they said is they've ran dry. But then after that section, the sun was going down, and you're going through this crappy trail. But then you pick up a road again, and it's just a long drag up this worst road I've ever been on, really.
Yeah, it was uphill, wasn't it?
Like obviously I'm fresh, so yeah, it was just going on and on and on, and it was that kind of gradient where you could walk it kind of thing if you want.
Yeah,
but
feel like you have to
you're
run
caught
it,
in
don't you?
between.
But I felt really nauseous. Do you remember?
Yeah. So like Holly was just
Gagging
like
and
that
stuff.
kind of. Just that exposure to the sun, and it's gone dark, so a bit of heat exhaustion and just fatigue. So,
Yeah.
And
Way earlier
not
than I
stomach,
expected,
yeah,
to
not
be
stomaching
honest.
too much, and it was almost like because the plan was to push on, and I've no doubt on a different day, like Holly could have pushed on, but I think we'd had a conversation on the way up. It's like just have a sleep, because there's no because at this and almost at that level of fatigue. Not through the running, even just through the heat. It's like you need to kind of recover a little bit so that you can go again tomorrow.
Yeah. We would just do it was like a reset, I would call it. Like I really, and I guess that was
that was Holly's phrase.
It was just like,
I just need a reset.
Just need a reset. And that could be like putting my head down for 10 minutes, or it could be putting my head down for 3 hours.
But it felt like a new start.
I had to, yeah. And all I kept thinking was because I knew on that day I was way behind on nutrition because I think probably for the first 50k I was all right, but then after that I just couldn't. Every time I put something in my mouth, the gag reflex would just spit it all out, and I was like, this isn't good. But I know that I get like this, but I know that if I can have a little bit of a sleep, even if I have a nap in the day at home, when I wake up I'm always really hungry. So I was like, if I can do that and then maybe I can get some food in, that will maybe refresh me. And I think it was probably, I don't know what time it was like midnight or something, maybe a bit earlier.
It was a
half
bit
11.
earlier. Probably about 11, between 10 and 11.
And like hours and where you are in the days as the time goes on, you don't actually know what time of day it really is, because we started at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
And then that last section was pretty grim. We'd had to go through this tunnel. We weren't quite sure if we were on the right part of the route. And
imagine that you're going up a road for
like
a
an
couple
underpass,
of hours,
isn't it?
basically, and it's like an old road, so they've obviously built a new road that's busy. And then
it was Route 66. That was the Route 66.
was it? We
bit.
were on
and the PCT,
of course we were. Yeah, so we're on
PCT crossed it.
on the old part of Route 66, and then I could see where we were heading for quite a long time, where the lights were of the town or whatever. And then even when you got closer, because it was near a
Couldn't work out
McDonald's,
how to
wasn't it?
get
You
to
could
it,
see
could
the
we?
McDonald's sign. I was like, oh, it's just there, but actually it wasn't, because we had to go under like an underpass, like a sewage, basically.
Full of shit.
And like you couldn't avoid the shit and water.
Yeah.
Bear in mind, you're coming
jeez.
towards the end of the day, and like,
We had to climb over like pipes and stuff. I was like,
the last thing I wanted was wet feet at that point.
yeah.
Oh,
So you're getting wet feet.
Shitty
How do you
feet.
manage to get shitty wet feet in the desert, essentially? And like, I was all right, but I was thinking,
I just didn't care. I was just
Yeah.
following
At
him
that
like a
point.
lamb.
what the
Yeah.
hell is this race?
Yeah, and then it was like, is this right? And then the next minute, the only way we realised, the only way we thought, and it was right, to get to the van was we had to actually get onto the railroad. And there was like, we'd been watching this train, haven't we? One of those long American trains, which just went on for like miles.
yeah.
Really
You see them on the
slowly.
films, don't you?
Yeah, it was like the film ones. It was like classic. And then
You
we got
lose
onto
sense
that.
of perception, and then you have to walk along the track, and then we were there, and even then it was like then everything just shut. So the McDonald's shut, the garage kind of shut.
Yeah.
So everyone just decided, yeah, we're gonna have a little bit of
Let's
a
have a
sleep here.
sleep.
Have a reset.
And that was, yeah, and give Holly a due. Like that was an earlier sleep than we planned, but what Holly was good at
I could sleep.
through the whole, you could sleep, but also when you got up, you got up. Whether it was slow moving in the van to get ready or not, but once you got out the van and started running, she would be running again.
Yeah.
I think that's where good progress is made, where
Mm.
like there was no,
You've got to build that routine.
yeah, and because like she's a strong runner, so there's not like, oh well, I've had a 3-hour kip, now I'm going for a 3-hour walk to get myself walking.
Yeah.
It was either running or resting.
Yeah.
For the majority.
But I'd
of
never
it.
done that before though. That I've never done that really. I've never had a race where I've had sleep. Like I've not done spine or anything like that.
Yeah.
I've tried trail naps before. I think at TDS I did like 10 minutes, but that didn't work. I was too cold. So I've never actually done it. So I wasn't sure whether it would work. And speaking to other runners who've done that, who are experienced, a lot of them said, oh, the issue is that you'll lie down and you'll be twitchy and you won't be able to sleep. So I was concerned about that. So I knew that I had to get to a point where I felt like I needed to sleep, but then I didn't want to be over that. As in, like I'd overdone it, and I was just not
that was kind of
with
the only
it.
rule, not rule, but I said like if it, sometimes you'd say to me like, I feel like putting my head down. I was like, well, put your head down. If you fall asleep instantly, then I'll give you some time to sleep.
Yeah.
But if we're just sat here in the van doing fuck all, then
Yeah,
we need to get
go.
out again.
Yeah.
That's where I'll be honest. Gary was invaluable, and I
It's that
didn't
experience.
realise. I would look to Gary because I was a bit like I felt like I was just basically a toddler in a van a lot of the time, and I would look to someone like, you have to make the decision for me because I can't. If it had been me, I probably wouldn't have had that rest or done whatever, and then I'd have got myself into all shades of shit, and God knows what would have happened. But because I looked at Gary and I'd be like, please say I can go to sleep. And like, how long can I have? And he'd go, I'd be like, what do you reckon? And he said, I think you could probably do 3, or even like maybe you could do 4. And I was like, okay, I'll do that.
Yeah.
You know,
I think
and
you
it
do
worked.
need probably people telling you at that stage, don't you? Because you just want to be concentrating on the running, don't you? You need somebody else to make those decisions.
Yeah.
Because you're probably not in the right frame of mind at times, are you,
And
to
what
make
you
those
don't
decisions?
want when you've got hot in the day, like on that day one was, I mean, there was other hot days, but yeah, when you got that hot, what you don't want is to go to sleep and then when you wake up and not feel refreshed.
Yeah, that's what I was
Because
terrified
that's what
about.
can happen through heat exhaustion, and I've had it myself and seen it. You should go to sleep and you wake up and you almost feel worse.
Yeah.
Because of that heat. So it's a bit of a balance, I guess.
There's optimum sort of time to sleep as well. Like you don't want to be doing too little or too much, do you? Really, as well. Like it's 3 hours seems to be because I think your sleeping
if you were
patterns
gonna,
are changing,
if you were gonna.
Pete was going on about that, wasn't it? A bit about sleep cycles and all that. I'm just going to sleep for what I need
to a
to
certain degree, yeah. But also when you get to that level of fatigue and thing, you could get away with. Ideally, Holly, if it was a cooler day and
I could
stuff,
have done less.
Holly could have gone in, run further, and done 90 minutes sleep.
Yeah,
and that would have been the starting point of the plan, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you want to go and break a record and you want to go and push yourself to the limit over 300 miles, you can get away with 90-minute sleeps.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
People
and
do.
that's what the winner did last year because it was way cooler. It even snowed in Death Valley.
Okay. Yeah.
Wow.
And he did a lot less
and
sleep.
someone like a Dan Lawson and stuff when
Yeah.
he's doing that, that's kind of the plan loosely. Yeah. But you've also got to recognise the fact that if you've completely overheated or just when is the best time of day to do it, it's like. Yeah, you just got to be adapted, I guess.
A lot to think about, but also a lot
if
to think about on
anything,
the fly.
Holly had less sleep as it went on.
I was about to say that actually, I think we did it right without realising. We did the longest sleep on the first night. I say first night, it was just the first stop.
Yeah.
Because we were up again, in the night. And then the second time we did slightly less, and then the last time I think we did 2 hours.
Yeah, the last one.
I'll be honest, I woke up and felt like, oh, fucking hell.
Could do with another
But
20.
but psychologically, you're like, okay, we're nearly done.
But there
We
isn't going to be
finished
another
today.
sleep.
Yeah.
Then, as long as nothing
Yeah.
crazy happens, like she death marches the last 40 miles,
Yeah.
which is always a risk. But this is the last sleep now. Holly. You may as well just go with 2
Yeah.
hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
Come on, I want to get to Vegas.
Yeah. Before Macadee shuts. I know we talked about the heat being a big issue, but there are big fluctuations in temperature on that route, aren't there? Like, like you were saying that people the year before had experienced like the different kind of conditions. And I've seen videos of James where he's been like in down jackets and stuff, because at night it must be cold, right?
No, it
Is
wasn't.
it not? Oh, right.
This year was
surprised
totally
on
different.
It
Yeah,
didn't
we didn't
get
put.
cold.
Normally it would be, wouldn't it? Is
Yeah.
that right?
I chucked on a windproof.
Took it off
a couple
pretty
of
much
times,
straight away, didn't you?
Mainly because remember I'm relaying it with Pete, so I'm in the van, so
You've got cold,
I'd
yeah.
literally put a windproof on to start running with Holly, but within 15 minutes I'm taking it off.
Yeah.
Was that the most you
In the
put
middle of
on?
the night.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the
Yeah.
most I had on. Yeah.
God, it was really
Yeah, I
different,
had a
wasn't
long
it?
sleeve on twice, maybe.
Mm.
Gosh.
So all that stuff I got,
Yeah.
all these waterproof jackets and
You just
like
never
thick
know, do you?
trousers. Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
wore shorts the whole time, and yeah, it was more the warm weather stuff, like like the ice bandanas and things like that we made out of compression socks and the flaps on the side of your hat and things like that.
Oh, you've got to be so adaptable, haven't you? It goes back to what we were saying. You can prepare all you want, but then there's so many things that you just can't prepare for, isn't there? You know, like, properly.
I mean, it was pretty certain that we weren't going to have any rain, thank God. And actually, it wasn't as windy as... I mean, it was windy in places, but not bad.
much,
It
is it?
has been
Yeah.
really
But,
bad.
I mean, you're not going to know about the weather conditions until like right up to the time, though, are you?
No.
So
No.
when you're training, when you're
Yeah.
getting all your gear, when you're
Yeah.
prepping,
Yeah.
you're prepping for like every eventuality, aren't you?
Yeah.
So
I had done some heat prep, but
yeah.
I don't think anything could have prepared
No.
me for just that
No.
hot.
You'd have to get in the oven, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
Climbing
yeah,
trim
yeah.
the sauna.
And I think
on
actually...
that day one,
Yeah.
because I was never going to ask you at the time, but on that day one, did you have any doubts at all about the race or about getting to the finish or anything? Was there any of those thoughts creeping in?
Oh yeah, 100%. Probably more so on day 2, but I did say there was quite a few times that I would say to Pete, like when we were on our own, I would just like look at him and say, I don't know how I can do that, because that was the thing I was going to say. The two things that I didn't prepare for mainly was obviously how hot it was going to be and how that would affect me, but then also the mental side of it. That's the hardest thing.
Because I remember
I couldn't get my
thinking,
head around it
like,
at all.
I've not ran 300 miles in one go, but I've done those long stints on your own when the finish feels so far away.
But you were on the course. The physicality, you could see how far it was.
Yeah.
Like the thought of it was terrifying. I'll be honest, it was terrifying.
Do you have to chunk it so you're not thinking about the finish? You're thinking about right. I've got to get to that
100%. That's why I'd carved it up into sections, but I'd only carved it up because of the geography of it, not because I said. At the beginning, we'd had that discussion of like, I don't need to see you all the time. Let's do it every 10 miles, which is what I started off. But then because of the logistics, like the geography of where the van could be, because it was a massive van, it couldn't just pull in anywhere.
Yeah.
So we'd have to find places, or maybe places where the guys could get food, like an In-N-Out burger or a Starbucks. And then it took us almost 100 miles to get out of LA.
Yeah.
And then after that, it was, like we can't actually see you for 14 miles, or we can't see you for 12 miles or 7. And so it was dictated to by that, because we didn't have a 4-wheel drive that could follow you the whole way.
It's funny, you're driving along in this RV, and I remember it was my turn to drive while Pete had gone out with Holly. So there's me, Jake, and Peter. And we had this little shopping list, didn't we? Like, we need to get an umbrella, we need to get... I can't remember.
Heat umbrella.
Yeah, like an umbrella. We need to get...
Electrolytes,
water.
Coke, water, all of it.
Yeah, basically, we had a little
ice,
shopping list.
Yeah.
So it was like a Walmart or something that Jake had found, put it in. And I'm driving this RV, and I suddenly realised I can't just pull into like a normal car park in this thing.
Yeah.
So you literally ditching it somewhere, running in and getting out again, or like, because the actual points where Holly had listed were places that you could pull in and do it properly, but all those in between bits were quite fun. Like you're going on a little adventure in this RV.
Yeah.
Just
you need to tell them about when you got water at was it Baker? Were you running with me?
I was with
That was
you.
only the nosebleeds.
So yeah.
No, you had the nosebleed, the first nosebleed.
Yeah.
That was
so,
super, super hot. That was on the edge of Death Valley.
Was that the nosebleed because of the heat and the pressure?
well, I
Heat
pick up
and
nosebleeds when the seasons changed here. I'll usually have a week of nosebleeds, so I must have some weakness up there. But like that, going back to that morning, I think it was it the morning where in Jacksonville where it was hot, I could feel it heating up.
Yeah.
Where me and you ran. So,
Victorville.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah. So Holly and Pete had ran, and then it was from our point of view,
it was
a
the
lovely
two trail
morning.
sections, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Where we met Arthur, the
Yeah, so I was just gonna say, so
yeah.
he's like a park ranger
warden, yeah.
for thousands and thousands of kilometres of place. But so we've parked up the RV, and Pete and Holly are coming on this massive straight line towards us. We don't know, but we couldn't see them. And Peter was outside having a go with his drone, and I was just I was actually doing some work on Holly's bed. It was like a nice chilled moment. I could hear this voice and everything. I was like, who the hell's that? So I went out, and it's this park ranger guy, and he's an absolute fan of the thing. I thought, he's going to try and move
I'd
the
seen him on
RV
YouTube films of him before, of up past
Obviously,
the
me and Peter
TSVs.
never knew, and he's given us all the ins and outs of the area, how he's just been for a run. He's a runner himself.
Who's cool.
He was a really great guy. He was just so interesting. He was waiting he was gonna wait with us, but he was saying, so he was looking at so I got the route up for him on the app. And I was showing him, and he was literally telling me all the ins and outs. And he was like, there's the Baker Blow or something he called it. So literally, it's like at the top part of this Baker on the edge of Death Valley is people park their RVs, and they've got the aircon going, and the aircon blows because of the heat.
Oh, I see.
So you can't really hang around there too long. So 2:00 in the afternoon, we timed it that me and Holly had running down into 40 degrees at the bottom, wasn't it?
It was.
Oh,
the world's biggest thermometer is in Baker, so it told us what temperature it was.
You're literally
Jeez.
running down. I mean,
That's there for a reason,
Yeah,
isn't it?
I could feel myself overheating. It's one of the only times I was having a look at my heart, because her heart rate will be out, no use at that point.
I turned it all off.
2 days
freaking you out.
Yeah.
But actually, from my rested point of view, the heart rate could be quite useful, because if mine's going sky high.
Oh, were you looking at your heart rate?
Yeah, I was having a quick. So if I said walk a bit, it's because mine was going really quite high, and I mean. Holly was fitter than me and more heat adapted, I imagine.
But I'd been running for like 200 miles.
Exactly, yeah. But if mine's going sky high, I thought, and because it was all downhill, I think we were at risk of just
Going
pushing a bit too much.
Yeah.
You're not running fast.
Yeah.
But so when it creeped up too high, I'd just say, go, just have a walk break kind of thing. And I needed it too, and I was only doing that 10k section or whatever. And then I just felt blood at the back of my throat. I won't go too much into it.
I can't stand stuff like that.
And she'd already warned me about this. She just doesn't like it. So then I've dropped behind Holly, and the short thing is, I'm running with my head
This
off.
wasn't a small nosebleed.
I'm
swallowing.
I'm
I saw the
swallowing
picture,
hard.
it looks pretty
Pissing out of his face.
It's going
Really?
everywhere on the side of the thing.
Oh my God.
It's going everywhere. Yeah,
Is it freaking you out a bit as well?
I'm thinking, but because we're so involved in Holly's, I'm like, what a fucking dickhead. How am I bleeding everywhere?
It was all over him. It was all down his legs.
I was trying to run sideways so she couldn't see it, because she could still run. So I'm like, well, let's still run. But in the end, I just had to stop and give it some time to stop. And but yeah, it was a
Luckily,
big
I had wet wipes with me all the time, so I was giving him I said
don't
to
look
him,
at him.
Can you just mop it up or something so I don't see? And he was like, he did all of this, and he looked at me, then he turned and he gave me the things. And he goes, "Oh, I've done it now. It's clear." And he turned around and looked at me, and there was just blood all down his face. I was like, "Gary, you are covered in it."
I was conscious that we couldn't stop too long, so I told her to stop. But at the same time, I'm gagging on it.
Yeah, proper bad.
I bet you lost a couple of pints there.
Yeah.
Probably felt like
Yeah.
it.
We got into there was a little underpass in Baker when they're just outside of it, and then we stopped for a second.
Shade,
Yeah,
wow.
just stopped in that shade. That's where there's a picture of me leaning on it, and that's within the space of us running 10k into Baker at 2 PM.
Wow.
And then obviously, I think it was kind of lucky that we got into there then, and Holly could have pushed on, but we'd agreed, look, just have some food and cool down.
Yeah.
Because within an hour, I think it was within an hour and a half, 2 hours, the sun will have gone down enough for when you and Pete start hiking out the next bit.
Yeah, the sun was going down.
It will hopefully be a nicer experience.
Yeah, and actually, that's you've reminded me of something. So that was one of probably the hottest sections that we'd done, and weirdly, so my appetite. This was day end of day 2, and I'd been way behind on nutrition. I mean, I dread to think how little I'd eaten. But as I was going on that bit, do you remember I turned to you, I went, do you know what? I really want a like Chick-fil-A sandwich with mayonnaise all in it, like the most disgusting like bit of burnt meat that I can get. And that was, and it, for me, that excited me that my appetite's back a bit, let's try.
Because it's not like Holly was shirking.
No, I wasn't
trying
not
to avoid
eating.
the food
God,
and the gels, but it was just tough to get it down. So I remember saying, look, if we can get through day 1, day 2, at a certain point, your body will just
and you were right.
You'll just eat something massive,
And
you'll kind of and if you get to that point, you're flying. Kind of thing. Yeah.
And did you feel better after that?
But you do have to get to that point, unfortunately, which is the hard bit.
Yeah.
Like luckily I'd already been to. We had to go to Baker to empty a load of the shit basically out of the stuff and all this kind of thing, and sort the RV out, and then get back up, and then I ran down. So I knew at Baker, like...
Oh, you'd gone before, hadn't you? Yeah.
I'd already been to Baker, but I also knew how hot it was. That's why it was a little bit like, we just need to take it easy to get to Baker. If anything, I think I was in worse shape than Holly by the time we got there. And...
yeah, you were sweating bad.
Yeah, I'd obviously had that nosebleed. I did, and anyway, it was only 10k, an hour and a half, whatever. And but yeah, Baker was one of the main points where actually Holly could get some. What did you have?
I had a burger. I had a gas station burger. I ate the whole thing.
And I had a burger there. But you could. There wasn't much on the route, so there was actually stuff that you could get there. Yeah.
Oh, we started having ice lollies quite a lot as well. So I'd leave the van with an ice lolly just to keep myself cool. And then I think Gary put a load of ice on the last day, didn't you, in my pack, which really helped. I had like ice everywhere.
Yeah. We were filling a sock and then
wrapping that round.
And then putting it in the top
pack,
bit of a pack. So
how were you managing to get the ice? Were you freezing it? Was there a little freezer in there?
They've got ice. Yeah, there was a freezer in the RV.
Oh, we had everything in a dining room and everything.
It's incredible, wasn't it?
Flushing toilet, amazing.
Wow.
We had a shower, but I never used it.
200 sausages.
We had enough sausage. I don't know what. So I bought all this stuff before, didn't I? Think I'm like, buy sausages. Never.
They'd already bought stuff. So when I got on day 1, when I opened the fridge, it's like, what the fuck? Just like 200 sausages.
There's so much food afterwards because I didn't eat anything.
She didn't eat
lived
one
on
of
Morton
them.
gels.
I was like, I'm going to Pete. Where's the race stuff? Like we're going on a family picnic.
Yeah, but we don't want to talk about the food. Like all Pete talked about was food, wasn't it? All he did was eat. He was amazing. He ate so much food. I've never seen it.
Pete needed crewing himself.
Yeah. He'd get straight in.
What do you need to eat, Pete?
He's a fine specimen of a man, isn't he? His legs need feeding, don't they? He's got the most impressive legs. Yeah. I could do a podcast all about Pete's legs.
It's easy because, well, me and Holly are here, but in between me doing the running, Pete was doing the running with Holly, and obviously in between, and there was the odd section where me and Pete would be in the van, and it was great having Pete around because from the minute I saw him in LA, it was like it was Disneyland for Pete. He was so positive,
he was
loving
amazing.
Every single second, and I don't think he won't mind me saying, but the running wasn't easy either on his part. But he was just
day 1.
This is what we're doing.
The first section, he had really bad leg pains.
Yeah.
He never said anything. Well, none of you said anything. None of you ever moaned about anything.
We did, just not.
Just not in front of me. Yeah, I'm sure. He was so upbeat. He was like, "Oh my god!" But yeah, Pete was. He just sort of was really happy, looking after everyone, making people coffee. Making food, making sure that I'd got staff, and it was. Until day 3.
Yeah,
when me and Jake went out on the last section, and we got back in,
Pete was just
and all the lights were out. No one was we had to. I was like fumbling around, like, could anyone get me some water? Pete was just out.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, they'd all gone to bed.
Yeah, finally broken him.
Yeah,
I remember driving the RV round, and it was. I think Pete was just broken at that point. He'd needed some sleep.
Was he asleep in the back, wasn't he?
Yeah. So I said to him, it's like driving around with a big sack of potatoes in the ring, because it was like there's a double bed in the back of this RV, but the back like door thing slides across, so that was sliding across, and I was driving around, and it was quite bumpy, and I turned round at one point, and I could just see his body. He was not waking up at all. It was just such a funny experience, thinking, oh, good on him, he's getting some sleep. But yeah, once you needed sleep in that situation, you kind of did it.
It sounded like, I mean, you obviously had an amazing team around you, like the experience 100%. And the positivity.
Yeah.
Like that's probably one of the biggest parts of it, is it? No?
Yeah, and I've talked about this a bit like after as well. I didn't realise how important it was really until I was in it and at the end, because I genuinely wouldn't have been able to have done it. All that talk about like, oh, I can see why doing it unsupported is actually quite easy, so you don't have to worry about anyone or do anything. But actually having your crew, the right crew, is the most important thing for this type of event.
Yeah.
And afterwards I just felt like it was a bit weird. I just felt a little bit like I didn't want any of them to leave.
Yeah, do you ever get
I felt quite sad
that
and
thing where
attached.
you go back to normality? I've had this when I've been on trips away where you've been in intense situations with people for like a
when you
period
shared
of
with
time.
Gary out
Yeah,
in,
yeah, exactly.
Corsica or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. When I had PTSD after
That was rough,
after
wasn't it,
Corsica,
coming
yeah.
home after that.
But yeah, when you spend a lot of time with a person or people, you do like miss them, don't you?
Yeah,
It's weird,
I felt really close to
Yeah.
them, and I think maybe because it was like 4 boys. I called them boys, but
Yeah.
4 boys and me, and the fact that like Gary heard a lot of things, saw a lot of things. He probably doesn't. He's probably having nightmares about them. I had warned them all, like,
Yeah.
I'm not the sort of person that's going to be, having a wash every day
Yeah.
and brushing my hair before I go out. I mean, I literally didn't even wash my face once.
Really?
I was so feral. I smelt and looked like a homeless,
Like
not
a
that
homeless
but I
person.
did look awful. And I mean, at one point, yeah, I mean,
I think that's why it matters. Like I've been in similar situations and I've either supported or done similar things myself. It's like it's not
not
like I know
pretty.
Holly was saying you saw a list, but it wasn't. It's just that someone doing hard things. It just wasn't.
yeah,
It's nothing.
it's not a multi-day.
I say
No.
If it was a multi-day, that's slightly different. But this
Yeah.
was, we just need to get to the finish
Yeah.
as quick and efficiently
You're always
as
moving,
possible.
aren't you? There's never a period really where you sort of pausing and reflecting, is there? You just always.
Time did go quick.
Pushing
There was
forward.
only some bits of downtime, to be honest, and it's yeah, and it's good fun to be like I've touched on it, and like I only made one post afterwards, but it was like, from my point of view, it was like I did feel responsibility in terms of I want Holly to get to the finish. That's the main thing, but it was also a privilege just to be like to be doing trips like that. So
Yeah.
it's you need to maximize it in terms of Holly's pushing herself to the limit. Like, who cares if there's sounds or smells or whatever?
Yeah.
No one's bothered.
And in those situations, the dynamic sorts itself out pretty quick. Everyone finds the role, don't they, within a group like that? I
Yeah,
imagine.
like behind the scenes, like I think Pete will agree. Like, obviously, yeah, we got on. And I think I realise is I'm quite comfortable in silence if we need to. Yeah, I don't have to be talking all the time. And there was times where we'd be driving or whatever, and all the lads were just not speaking,
She was
and
so
it wasn't
knackered.
it wasn't uncomfortable.
I mean, yeah, they were.
It wasn't
Because they had
uncomfortable.
the same amount of sleep as me, really.
Yeah, like Jake's obviously, like we touched on, he's such just a like
Just really.
a not laid back's the wrong word because he was on it, but he's a cool and calm demeanour.
Very not negative at
Pete's
all.
No.
very positive. And Pete.
And Peter's really quiet.
Pete is quiet, but I could see that he had a bit of sense of humour as well, kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
And
So,
he was suffering inside.
yeah, exactly.
very
That
much.
was
He
the
was
other thing.
sick.
Like sometimes
But he never made it really
exactly.
big
Sometimes
deal.
he'd fall asleep above on like day one, and like me and Jake obviously didn't know each other, but it's like, oh, like poor guy kind of thing. You
Yeah.
try and be quiet around him as well because
Yeah.
like I felt for him doing what he was doing, like feeling like that. It was hard
Yeah.
enough for
Yeah.
me, kind
In
of
the
thing.
heat.
To be honest,
Awful, yeah.
yeah, there was a bit where he went out on. There was a bike, and he and he rode through LA with her on the bike and everything. He come back, he looked like
breathe.
a state.
Oh,
It was
God.
like,
Yeah, that was really hard. And also, I guess I was also aware that, and I don't think I even had to think about it, but when I got into the RV, I mean, I would literally get into the RV, sit on the nearest seat, like, and just sit there, wouldn't I? And just be like, okay, right. I didn't want to be like really negative, because you don't want to be negative, even though you're really hurting. And mentally, I would look to Jake and say, because he would have the road book thing that I'd written, and I'd say, like, how far's the next section? Because like I said, I could never think about the whole thing. If any time I ever thought about the whole thing, that's when I'd have like a bit of an internal panic attack,
Yeah.
because I couldn't work out in my head how I'd ever get to the finish, ever.
secretly, I'd be laughing into myself every time she asked, because she would. She'd
would say,
come
"How
in,
far is
sit
it?"
on the same seat, and like, how's the next one, Jake? And it's the same every time. It's either like 7K, 8K, 10K.
Occasionally it'd be a 5 and I'd be like,
We knew where the big sections were, so it was like, you're just going to have to go out for another 2 hours, basically.
But then the worst one was when I knew, so obviously the power line section, the main big power line section, which was like 20 miles, which was the big section, which I was terrified of, where potentially we had no signal, we definitely couldn't get any help on it. It was just going to be, you're out there and you just have to get to Prim, which is baking hot as well. And all I kept thinking was, we kept on saying logistically, we cannot do that in the middle of the day or we'll die.
Yeah.
So we have to do it either at night or very early in the morning or very late at night, but preferably, early morning or something. So I knew that I had to get to that section to do that and have some rest.
It was quite good having that, because it was, at that point, like Holly basically had no choice. If she wanted to do that, she had to push on a bit longer in that night.
I see, yeah.
So
she had to time it right.
So it was day 3 was quite long.
Yeah, it was a long day. She put a lot of miles into day 3 compared to the others, and it was no cooler. It was, if anything, it was hotter.
Yeah. But we had no choice.
No.
But it was like, if you want to run this power line section before it gets too hot, then we have to push on so that you can get a couple of hours so that we can leave early. And that's what she did. And I did that power line section.
But actually, it was actually one of the...
Was it not as bad as you thought?
Well,
like it was easy going up.
Yeah, the first section.
I was not worried, because it's like still, for me, fresh enough, and it's 20 miles, and I've got enough kit that we'll be all right.
And it was beautiful. That was one of the most beautiful
And it was
bits.
before the sun come up, and then the sun was coming up, and then you climbing. You can see the RV for miles, couldn't you?
Miles, yeah.
Literally miles, where you'd left. But I remember looking at the profile, and it was like, you're climbing at this consistent gradient. So I remember I said to you, it's like
650 meters or something.
You're doing this gradient for 12K, and then that's the top, because it doesn't spike up anywhere. It was like a hike with the poles for Hull, and it was like, once that was done, right, we're at the highest point, and then you started pushing down. She's still running really well, and I just remember seeing a 4x4 down. And at first I didn't think it was, and then I think Holly must have seen it at a similar time. She's like, is that a truck?
Yeah, I was like, shit, is that Abraham?
And the assumption was it was third place.
When I'd slept.
See.
Because we'd just got up out of the RV, so he could have pushed on through. I mean, in my head, I was like, that doesn't make sense. He was so far behind. And at that point, you are competitive, and it's all right to be competitive, I think, isn't it? Especially if
you're competitive, but you're also really confused.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there's no track, you can't tell where people are. That's the whole thing with it.
So I'm like messaging the lads back in the thing. Is there any updates? Because there's a truck, and you don't want to say to Holly, that's first place, and you don't want to say it's third place either. But it's like, that's got to be someone in the race.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Or it could have been just some random person, because they could have come from a different angle.
Yeah.
Because they were all different routes. We had no idea.
And it was like, and we'd seen Abraham's crew enough, and we did a section with him for a bit, and I'd seen that they had a mountain bike and all sorts on the thing. I was like, in my head, I'm like, that's not his 4x4, but we couldn't categorically say it. And then we got within literally 500, well, closer than 500 metres, and you could see what was written on the van, on the 4x4. And it turns out it was first place, so we'd caught up to first place. And it was funny, wasn't it? It was like the excitement level went up a bit, and I'm like, right, come on then, Hog, because it wasn't like we need to get past, but it was good to...
Yeah, like, did it give you a bit of fire in your belly? Did you think at that point, wow?
It gave me it, and it was...
Yeah, that, and also my heart's thinking, oh, this is going to be potentially a race
crack
now.
The whip now.
Yeah,
I was laughing on the way down. I was like, what did I say to you? I remember saying, you're fucked now.
Like a prime job.
Yeah, you did say, this is it now. I was like,
you're fucked now. There's no easy running to thingy.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, and it just turned out like that Parley was a great runner. She'd gone through a rough patch. She was having a nosebleed. Then Holly had a nosebleed.
That must have freaked you out more than anything.
Yeah, it did.
Was that the lowest point of the race?
Yeah, and like, because I don't get nosebleeds really, and like Gary, it was like a proper full on down the back of the throat, out your mouth stuff. It was just like,
but it was just. I mean, a lot of it was because you're so dry out there.
Yeah, it's because of the sand, I think, and the heat.
And you're snorting a lot and stuff like that. So it's not. Like, the heat was manageable at that point, but we also, the excitement level, you could have, at that point, Holly probably could have caught first place, but you'd have risked blowing a gasket. So while you're still running well, I remember, while Holly was really good at, well, what got us here got us close enough to first, so we're just going to keep doing
keep
what we're
doing what we're
doing.
doing.
Yeah.
And there's a limit to what you can push then anyway. It's like you over 250 miles into this bloody thing, and you're still running well, so just keep doing what you're doing, and then yeah.
We got into Prim, and Prim was just the weirdest place, and there were so many places we turned up, and it's just so weird.
Yeah.
Like there's like it was like a Disney palace that had closed down, and a
really?
weird.
This big,
Everywhere's just a gas station.
this
Yeah.
big weird hotel that I think must have been famous
like a
back in the
Helter
day. I
Skelter
can't
or
remember what it was
something.
called, but it's big
Whiskey
grand.
Pete's.
Yeah, Rusty Pete's.
Whiskey Pete's.
Well, Whiskey Pete's.
It's a better name.
That's Rusty Pete. Yeah, it was just a weird place.
Did it feel a bit run down and kind
Oh
of...
yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
I remember
that-
saying to Jake, going, I'd love to see these places 30,
So
40, 50
many-
years
Yeah.
ago.
the places like there was a lot of RV parks as well. We went through not parks, just like people had made. There was a big section that me and Pete did, which was actually before we saw Arthur, the ranger, and it was like I don't know if you've watched like Nomadland or or Breaking Bad. It was like weird just RVs in the middle of the desert with dogs. That was the other thing. There was quite a lot of dogs on the course. We were fine with them, but some people had issues with them. You just have to deal with it because a lot of people have dogs to look after their properties or their vans.
Yeah, it's quite territorial.
Yeah,
and
so they're
protective.
loose.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was loads of weird places like that in the middle of nowhere. There's like no shade. I can't tell you. There's no shade.
No.
And there's vans in the middle of nowhere, and people have got maybe a satellite dish or, that, and that's it. It's just really weird. And then Prim was just
Because you've got loads of time out there as well, you start thinking, what the hell, how have people ended up
yeah,
there?
Why
what
are they
doing
there?
here?
Yeah.
and all
Minds
that
in
kind of
overdrive.
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, there was loads of there was no point of that where I would say, because in my head I thought, we're going to be going to these nice diners and having nice relaxed
No.
lunches while
It was
Holly's out there and
stereotypical
stuff
view
like
of it all,
this.
don't it? Yeah.
And it was not that at all. You're not in it for that route specifically. I wouldn't go for the coffee and food, put it that way.
Yeah, I wouldn't go for a holiday.
Yeah,
No.
exactly. I'm not taking the kids on a road trip.
I
But-
did joke and message him and saying, "Are you back off holiday yet?"
Yeah. And it was like, but such just interesting beyond belief in terms of I wouldn't believe those places people are still living there,
there.
to be honest.
Yeah,
which sounds bad,
it is
but
weird. No,
it's
it is
just
weird.
like, what?
I wonder why it's changed. Do you think it's because like Vegas is just a place where people go now and they're like forgotten towns? Maybe?
Well, I guess if you think about it, I mean, Vegas has spread, so it was much
Yeah.
smaller, and that's the other thing. That was the crazy thing is like how long it took to get into Vegas. Like when you see it, it's just like when am I going to get there?
Yeah.
Because it's like you're basically, Holly's running a slight
Crest, don't
downhill. When you go over the top, you're like, oh, there's Vegas. Like 6 hours later,
Yeah.
you're still driving into
Oh,
Vegas.
really?
Oh yeah, it was about
You could see it.
45k to
Yeah.
get
I was
actually
gonna say,
into Vegas.
there's definitely more than 20 miles. You look
Yeah.
because you see it and you're like, it doesn't look that. I mean, it looks far, but not that far.
It is horrible.
And then we're like,
Yeah.
It is
how long's
horrible.
left,
must
Jake?
mess your
How
mind
long's
up.
left, Jake?
Yeah.
And he's going, it's over 20 miles. God.
Yeah, it was
And that's
hard.
us in the RV. Never mind what
Yeah.
Holly's probably thinking. Yeah, you think you're on a run-in, don't you? But
Yeah.
well, I've still
And
got a
all I
marathon to
kept
go on
thinking
this flat
before
road.
It was like, oh, okay, last marathon, I'll be able to put my faster shoes on, I'll be able to kick on, which I did for about maybe 5 miles, and that was insane. I
wall.
put some music on and I was like, yeah, I'm really good, aren't I? And then suddenly I was like, my legs, just everything. I think it was almost a mental thing where
Yeah.
everything was like, okay, you're there now, we're just going to shut down.
Body and mind's a weird
Yeah,
thing.
and my legs
It's
just...
like I said. Well, I
so
said to you as well,
painful.
but I said this is the point now where she's, like when you need a shit, and then you find a toilet,
Yeah.
but then your body gives out too soon.
And you shit
Yeah,
yourself.
yeah, yeah.
It's like,
I mean, that
that's-
basically happened on the side of the road on the
basically
way in as well. I did need to go, and I had to
That was her
You gotta go, you
version.
gotta
I was
go.
like, I know exactly how she feels now because it's like you're near the finish, but you're not. There's still
Yeah.
it's still hard work to do, and it was.
That probably felt like the longest part
I
of the
remember
race, I
one of my
imagine.
It
favourite
was the low
bits.
light, I'll be
Was
honest.
it? Was that the
yeah.
lowest
It won't
point? That
be
was
your
gonna be the
favourite
question.
bit, but one of my favourite bits near the end was when they'd done. So I'd gone into Prim, so I'd done the 20-mile section, and you get into Prim really hot, and
hot.
so we only drove like 6 or 7 miles down this flat hot section,
Oh, yeah.
and that was the first time I was thinking this could get really tough now because it's so hot, and we'd seen the leader go through, and she was obviously hot as well,
Yeah.
kind of thing, and then so they'd done that bit, her and Pete.
That was really slow. because
It was slow, but you looked
so-
all right, kind of thing. So I was like, okay, she's safe, kind of thing. but there's another 6 mile section. So now Pete's done probably half marathon or so. Gets in and we're in this gas station again, and me and the lads have been there, and we've cooled down and everything.
That's at Jean. That was at Jean, wasn't it? Or was it before?
You know, literally after Prim, there's like the big section
Jean,
where you go to that big building.
Yeah.
And you cracked on your own.
That's right,
while
that was
Pete
Jean.
jumps
Yeah.
in. So now we're on this road where you can literally drive the RV alongside Holly if you wanted to.
All the way to Las Vegas.
If you wanted to. So we go into this gas station, and I'm ready to drive, and Pete says, "Oh, I'm just going to freshen up," which is quite normal. So like I had the odd shower, and Pete was obviously he's been out for a few hours, so but then even me and Jake are like looking because he's having a full-on shower now and sprucing himself up.
Moisturising.
I'm thinking, she has been out for a little bit. I don't know how long it was or how long it felt.
It
but
felt like I'd been out for like 20 miles.
It felt
moisturising.
But it felt borderline. Like I had to go, "Should we go now, Pete?" And it was like, he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm ready now," because he's like making food and he's had a nice shower and the door's closed, so he's obviously having a shit. I'm thinking, it's not a spa day. We need to.
Cucumbers on the ice.
But he did smell nice afterwards. I'll give him that. So we drive down, and Peter's got the camera out and everything. And we're like, "There's Holly." And I honestly don't know how long, if it was 20 minutes or an hour, but it felt longer than she should have been on her own at that point.
I didn't have my phone because I'd given it to charge.
She just left like the water from the last one because we were
freaking out.
Because I was thinking, "Oh, we'll just catch up quick." Anyway,
I
pulled over, and all I heard was, I don't know what they were shouting. Pete's obviously, "Oh, you right, love?"
I just went,
that's the only time.
"Where have you been?" And I was
leaving me with just this.
Because I haven't got a phone. I thought maybe you've gone the wrong way. That's the first time I lost it, and the only time I lost it.
Yeah, it was. It was short-lived, but it was like I was looking in the window.
Everyone's faces were like this.
Because I knew it was going to happen. Because at that point, you don't want any stress, do you?
Yeah, no. I was terrified, and I was just like, I need some Mountain Dew, I need some food, and then let's just crack on. Because in my mind, we were almost there, but actually, we really weren't.
No,
it was hours.
But you
That's
couldn't
when you
really
probably
crack
need the
the
most
joke
support,
until
isn't
you
it?
drove off
Yeah.
either. So you like driving off. I was like,
Did he smell great though?
He did. He looked good. That was the main thing, you know. Changed his t-shirt.
Yeah, he
everything.
got changed also. Everything.
Yeah.
When he said freshen up, we literally thought he's just chucking water on himself and we're going to get going.
Well, to be fair, I did say to him, he was like, "I'm just gonna," because he was chafing really badly.
Yeah.
And I think for him, everything had just locked down as well. It was just like, that's it, my body can't do any more. So I said, "Oh, don't worry, I'll just keep going." But I think I was so tired, obviously, and had low energy, and I was just working things in my head, thinking, "Oh my God, where?" I kept looking behind, and the road was just straight, and there was no one there, and I was like, "Oh my God!"
It was quite hard, not hard, but like from our point of view, like I'd done that long 20-mile section.
Everyone was on their knees,
but after that was me done in terms of running, and then Pete had done that double section, which was 13 miles or whatever, and had his shower and everything. But he's done then, and then it's up to Holly to.
Yeah, it was the next 40k on my own.
So
it's a long way, isn't it?
There was a little bit, I think, me and Pete thinking, like, that's me done.
Yeah.
Like, all we've got to do is drive the RV now.
Yeah.
So I could
you've almost finished mentally.
Yeah, a little bit, and because it was like I don't mind saying it was hard work for me doing the amount of running in that couple of days.
Yeah.
And I knew that she would finish now.
Yeah.
But it's still, you can't let on to Holly. It's like, "Oh, we've finished." It's like she's still got this hard thing to do. So every time we would pull up and every time she'd come into view, you'd have to stick to the same kind of rhythm of like, "What do you need?" and all that kind of thing. You couldn't let up until literally the last time you saw her, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When did you know it was in the bag then, Holly? As in, like, when you'd finished? Was it when you could see Vegas, did you think? Or did you, way before then, did you think, I'll finish this now?
Yeah, when she texted me to ask her to pace her. 12 months before.
Yeah.
It's
in the bag now. It's in the bag.
Yeah, I mean, I knew it was done. Yeah, I'll be honest, I knew it was done at Prim.
Yeah.
Because I knew it was just what I had to do, and I knew that I would have the van close to me, so that was really good.
Yeah.
But I'll be honest, I started to feel quite low when we started coming into Vegas. So there was also lots of road crossings, which took forever. Like you had to press the button. The roads are massive.
Oh, and you've got to wait for the lights.
And you have to wait. I actually timed one of them. One of them was 10.5 minutes. You have to wait for the light. That's how long it takes, because it's like these juggernauts going past. And at that point, my feet, I think I got such bad nerve damage at the end of my feet. They just were so painful. My legs felt like, when I was running, I literally felt like my legs were breaking into splinters as I ran. Like I was convinced when I finished that both my legs were broken.
Yeah.
And then also,
because it is downhill
it
at
is
that point
downhill,
as
but
well,
you're on
quite a lot.
road.
So you're like,
and you've already ran 280
and you're
miles.
coming into civilization, it feels like more and more. So
Yeah.
senses overload. And
I kept on seeing the boys, and they'd just be sort of standing at the end, and I just felt like, and I will be honest, like there was a glimpse at one point I thought I could win this. And then when that went, I knew that Parley was well ahead.
Yeah.
That was fine, and I was happy with that, because at one point I thought I could be third, because Abraham was also, and even Jonty, at one point I think I was at fourth.
Yeah.
So there'd been so many emotions about where I was coming, and I did get that little glimmer of maybe I could win it, that would be amazing. And then when I knew that hadn't happened, because I remember I was checking my phone, and then I saw that Parley had come in, because you have to post on the WhatsApp group.
Yeah.
And I was obviously really pleased that, but then I almost felt like going, okay, well, I just need to coast it in now. But I still wanted to be, I'm still always really competitive. I still want to be as close as possible. But everything at that point just sort of drained out of me.
Yeah.
And I felt quite sad that, firstly, like I am really competitive, and I'm always like, will try my hardest. And I did want to be the first person in when I thought I could be. And then also I sort of had that feeling that maybe I'd let the boys down a bit. I did feel that. I knew I hadn't, but I did feel that a little bit. And I also, the other thing was like, I knew as the time went on, they were already starving. They just kept talking about what they were going to have for dinner. And I kept thinking like, oh, I need to get this done, because I could just walk it in, but I do need to get to the finish.
At the finish line, like I was so hungry, because that running, there's 40 miles of fuck all basically.
It is, yeah.
And like, bear in mind, we spent all week together doing this thing, and at the finish line I was thinking, I've got time to go and get some food here. So I start walking down into Vegas, but like Holly says, there's the finish line was the sign.
Tiny
there's
little
nothing.
pathetic sign.
Nowhere
I walked for 15 minutes and I'm going,
everything is vast.
actually I'm going to miss her finishing. I had to jog back up,
Did you?
basically. I was nearly going to miss her.
Empty-handed?
Can you imagine
Yeah.
if I'd have missed it? Where
Yeah.
was Gary at
After
the
all
finish? Oh, he's in a McDonald's down the road. or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, priorities. Yeah, I mean, it was a bit of a, that was quite hard. Like, and then obviously the finish was amazing. You know, it was amazing having everyone there, but it's not like a finish line in a race.
But it's underwhelming in the sense
Yeah.
there's no like
You turn
bells,
up,
whistles,
So
and
funny
there's-
because
fireworks,
there's a
yeah.
big
Queue.
There's a big queue of tourists to take a picture of the sign.
getting
No
really
way.
shitty with you, because,
Yeah.
and of course I got to the sign and sunk to the floor and stayed there for a while, not thinking about that. They're not on my mind, but they're
Yeah.
all standing there in a queue just going,
Get the other man on,
Getting that
please,
shitty.
please,
Yeah.
come on.
you know, people spraying champagne over you, and you're just like, and then the thing is, you get up and you're like, I actually can't walk.
Yeah.
Where's the RV? I just can't.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
Because I suppose you've mentally, like, at that point, given everything, and you've told yourself you've got to get to that point, and then when you get there, your body just shuts
Yeah,
down,
you
doesn't
don't
it?
know what you're going to do after. You haven't planned what you're going to do afterwards. You're
Yeah.
just thinking, please, I never want to do that again. And
Was that the overwhelming feeling?
yeah, oh yeah, yeah. It was so hard, and I was so pleased that it was over.
Elation that you'd done it though as well. Like,
Yeah,
and-
yeah, I didn't
'cause-
think-
So
yeah.
in the end, where did you finish position-wise and time-wise?
So I was second, and I
Amazing.
was at about an hour and 45 or something behind Parley.
It's incredible, Holly.
Yeah, I mean, it's still
Yeah.
really close in that scale of stuff. And I think the big story that, and Parley was waiting for me at the finish. She was
Yeah,
in a deck
that's
chair,
nice,
bless her,
that's
which was
nice.
amazing. And we chatted, and
Their crew was really good as well. Like, it was
Yeah.
quite good. Like, I'd got chatting to a couple of them, and it was.
yeah, crew were lovely.
And it was good to be competitive, but it was also good that they were a good crew, and like obviously it
people.
was still like, I know how well Holly can run, and she was still, don't get this wrong, she was still running hard at the end of it, and given the fact that we were 500 meters behind that Parley,
Yeah, Parley had pushed.
I remember saying in the like hats off to her, because
Yeah.
it took some to put that distance into Holly. Kind of
Definitely.
thing.
Yeah.
You just
Yeah.
sometimes that's what happens, isn't it?
Yeah.
And
It
she was utterly broken. It looked
She
at
was,
the finish.
yeah. Like
Yeah.
speaking to her since,
Yeah.
obviously I realised what calibre athlete she is as well. Like she'd just been done to the Olympic trials
Wow.
and ran 2:30 or something. So she's a really good and very
Yeah.
young. I'm
Yeah,
like
yeah.
20 years older than her,
Yeah.
which
yeah.
is, I think that's a great it's it was really good to show 2 women, 1 and 2, and
definitely, it's
different
amazing.
spectrums.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, it pushed us both. Like she said,
Yeah.
she never expected it to be a race as such, and so that was really cool. And then for Abraham to come in like 10 hours afterwards was was good.
Yeah, that's a fair
and he's a great
distance, isn't
athlete,
it?
Abraham
Yeah.
as well, and very experienced. Like he's on Moab 240 and
Wow.
Cocodona and
They
stuff
were
like
good
that.
fun as well.
They were really
Spent
good.
some
Yeah,
time with them. The
their crew was really good, and
I don't know if they did this on purpose or what, but what I remember saying, I don't know if it was you were saying, I definitely said what I liked about Parley's crew at one point when we got so close to her near the end. They dropped back, and I knew they'd drop back where Parley was running, but they dropped back, I think, to check basically who it was or if it was Holly.
And see what condition Holly was in.
And I said, I remember
Covered in blood.
saying to Holly, like, when we get up to their 4x4, don't accept any water, just keep running, kind of thing.
And so you feel amazing.
We needed water, like, but
I was like gasping, my mouth was.
but I was starting to think of tactics here.
Yeah.
And as we got close, we got literally between here and that door. They were like, right, we'll see you in a bit.
There was no offer of water.
No way.
No, and I started laughing. And I was like, fair dues, I like that.
Yeah.
They were really good.
You'd
Whereas
done the
Abraham's
same,
crew were offering us everything, weren't they?
Yeah. But it wasn't. Well, you felt like you were in a race for
You've
that
got to take
period
a
of time.
compliment there, haven't you? Because they obviously felt like you were a threat at that point.
Oh
It's
yeah,
like-
it definitely was, and
Yeah.
it was good little friendly rivalry for that
That's
bit of
good.
time. It was enjoyable, and yeah, that it's like you don't have to win to enjoy that
No.
part of it. I don't think it was.
I think that's
it's
the
good.
Speed Project whole philosophy. The whole Speed Project thing is actually like a bit of a community. The people, because
Yeah.
not many people have done the solo, and what happens is a lot of them they go to each solo, like they follow each other around, and it is just speaking to everyone afterwards, how everyone feels about. We share the stories because everyone's stories are slightly different. Because first of all, not all of us did the same route. So we went to different parts. Some people were on the power lines for a lot longer. Some people slept for a lot longer. Some people slept in motels. Some people slept in sleeping bags in the desert.
Yeah.
And just like having conversations about, and also
How
just
they approach it,
and looking
yeah.
at other people. So there's so much stuff on social media, which is amazing to see what people are doing. And I think the funny thing that I've noticed about the people that took their time, because some people said, I'm going to do a week of it.
Yeah.
How, I don't know if you've seen some of it, some of the people who look like really clean and they've changed all their clothes and they've had a full reset and they look really good. And like me and Parley had like tissues sticking out of our nose.
Blood
and,
all down your t-shirt
proper
and-
mess.
yeah.
And, like some people were much more diligent with how
Yeah.
they, did stuff. And I think I felt a little bit like we were a bit on the fly, weren't we?
There's no
Yeah,
one approach. We were
I
racing, weren't
enjoyed
we?
the way I enjoyed the way we did it, and but
So
I
did I.
did like you could. I was thinking about this at one point, like Parley's crew was all in the 4x4, so you could, so that 4x4 was with her. It could go with her on the mountain, could go with her across the desert and all that kind of thing, which is a massive advantage. But then we had
They
the
did the
RV
comfort.
where they literally she was sleeping on the back couple of seats kind of thing, grabbing sleep of that thing.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I mean, selfishly as crew, I'm glad we had the RV.
Yeah.
I'd rather do more running thanks with
Yeah.
Holly
Yeah.
than just bomb around in that. It's really interesting to see how different people go about it, and ultimately, like Holly and Parley ended up neck and neck, quite close to the end, doing it those two different ways. It's just interesting.
You're never going to get the same approach. Even if you did it again, you'd do it probably slightly differently, wouldn't you? You might pick a different route or you change bits and
maybe, yeah.
makes it really interesting.
Yeah.
Would you do it again, or does it put you off?
I don't know if I'd want to do the
That
LA
one.
to LV.
Yeah.
I think
Another
once-
challenge.
yeah. I mean, I never thought I call it ultra amnesia, but I think, it's like I'm never doing that again. I'm never running that far again. But you sort of, you think, maybe I could do this or maybe I could do that or, but I think that experience, it wouldn't be the same again anyway, because I don't think it would ever be,
I think the
hopefully it wouldn't
problem
be
you'd
that
have
hot.
is,
Yeah.
like, although it didn't go to plan, it went, I think, on Holly's point of view, like, I was really impressed. Like, don't forget, like Holly said, she's done massive races and stuff, but she's never done more than just over 100 miles, never done 170k. So you are going into the unknown, and I think it went really well. If you go back, you're comparing it, and you don't know if you're going to have a good run, bad run, and it's like I think some experiences are just best left. left as it is. I mean,
Yeah.
it might change because let's be honest, the only reason you would go back is to run a much faster time.
And the only way really
Isn't
I'm
it
going to do
really?
that, it's
It's
weather.
not-
It's going to be wet. So, if it was cooler, I would have been faster, I'm sure. But
100%. It's a different race, isn't it?
But I know that my stomach's always an issue in races anyway. Even when Gary
Yeah.
paced me at Autumn 100 and it wasn't boiling
Yeah.
hot, that's always going to be a bit of an issue for me. But it was accentuated, obviously, with the heat.
Yeah.
But I've come away. I have learned a lot actually from that race, and things that I didn't expect or know I was good at. Like the sleeping stuff was brilliant. I never thought I'd be able to sleep that well that quickly.
Yeah.
And just being able to, I guess even run. I was still running reasonably well, like running into Vegas.
Mm.
So that was a real surprise for me. And
yeah, at
actually,
that stage,
not having any, I didn't have any issues. Like I didn't have any strains or pulls or no sort of hot spots.
That's amazing, isn't it? In those conditions. As
Yeah,
well.
nothing like that. I didn't have any black toenails. I didn't I had got a couple of little blisters, but nothing much. I didn't even get any chafing.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is that just because you prepared in just the right ways as well, and you think
Not
you
really,
must
because I
have
was
done,
just
yeah.
filthy.
But
I just covered myself in lube the whole
I was
time.
going to say, did you put lube on? Yeah.
But you looked
yeah,
after
yeah.
yourself. You did,
Yeah.
but you did the things that are easily forgotten well early doors. Like I know the stomach was a problem, but like I know it sounds daft, but people sometimes, like I spoke about this, people running around with their tops off and that, but you protect yourself against the
I was
sun
always
as
in a
much as you
t-shirt.
can.
If you
You
burn
lubed up as much as you
early
could.
on, it's game over. It's a horrendous experience,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Holly's experience to know where she's gonna get a problem if there is a problem, like like with the tops and things like this.
Yeah.
None of all that stuff is the basics, but easily forgotten. So and over a couple of days could easily add up. So it's it's not always luck. It is a few years of experience. And having people like Pete and stuff checking in all the time, and even on the running bits, there was long sections where I would only speak when spoken to, and then there's bits when we could have a laugh together.
He's well trained.
Well, yeah, it's like because I think that matters though, having people around you that know that kind of thing.
Yeah, you had so much experience.
Yeah, each of the
you.
lads who ran with me, it was mainly Gary and Pete, obviously. They knew exactly how to be with me, so that was perfect. Like if I'd had a stranger, it would have been, I don't know, I would have probably felt like I needed to talk to them.
Yeah.
Because with Gary, I could just like grunt a bit, and Gary would tell me to do certain stuff, and I knew when Gary ran, I would run, and then if Gary walked, and then if I wanted to run, I'd start running, and Gary would know it was time to run again.
Yeah.
I think we know each other well enough that we
Yeah,
have
yeah.
this thing.
Yeah.
I think it does. Like I know I keep saying it. I've been in that kind of position. I know when Holly can, and I know when to push it a bit, and I know when.
I start huffing quite a bit.
Yeah, and or I'll just stay on Holly's shoulder so she can dictate it. Or sometimes I know that she might value just following me like switch off and follow me for a bit, which is absolutely fine too. And you just fall into that effort pace. I did get worried at one point. I thought she'd lost her mind. It was hot as hell.
Oh.
And I heard her she put a coat on.
Really?
I
I just did massive fart. He's like, "What are you putting a coat on for?" I was like, "I'm not. I've just did a fart."
Turned round and I swear to God, I thought it was
Like that.
this massive zip from bottom to top going like this.
It was like 40 degrees. Yeah, but hang on a minute. He lost his mind again on the power lines thing, which he's forgot to say. So on the power lines, I've been following footprints. I knew what shoes Parley was wearing, and she was wearing Nike Trail.
I was asleep.
So that's so sad. I've been watching the floor, like, because you spend a lot of time on the floor. And then I'd also noticed that there was little tiny hoof prints.
Yeah.
And I had heard something about that there could be wild donkeys in that area.
Ah, yeah.
So we came over the brow, and because I'd been following them, I looked over to the right, and there was these donkeys.
I'd stopped to have a piss, basically.
Yeah.
And
I was like, "Oh, look, there's donkeys over there." And he stood there for ages, and he was looking.
I'm going there.
No, they were clear as day, these bloody great donkeys. And I was like, "Look."
I've
And he
seen
was like,
donkey.
he said, I can't see any. I was like, "Gary, they're there."
I'm shouting. Monkeys.
He was like, "I can't see any monkeys." I was like, "No, donkeys." Why there would be
Just lost
monkeys
his
here?
mind.
He's lost his mind. That was the most. I actually properly did have a good old laugh then at that point, and then that's not long until we saw Parley. So that was quite eventful, that whole
I
section.
don't know why I thought there'd be monkeys out in the desert, but I thought she lost it, but she's obviously thinking he's lost it.
Yeah. It's like, God, I'm not that bad. What have I done to him?
Yeah.
What was your mileage count in the end, Gary? And
Just over 100, something like that. Yeah.
Not bad over three.
It's not bad, is it?
days,
Yeah. Like again, like it's not. Yeah, it wasn't my challenge, but when Holly asked me,
It wasn't to run 100 miles.
Well, it wasn't
No,
to
no,
run
you
100
just don't
miles,
know,
but
do
I mean, we didn't know what the train would be like. But also, when she originally asked me, I couldn't run, so she was putting a bit of faith in the fact that I could, could get back to running number one. And I said, well, I think I'd be good for the bike. I mean,
Yeah, we
the
did
bike
think
would
again.
have been
We
the
did
bike
think
would
you'd
have
been
having a mountain
pointless.
bike would have been pretty useless. Not useless. I could have done it, but
Yeah.
It's so sandy. It was like
yeah,
Is it?
I'd
sand.
have needed my own crew if I was going to
So-
bike it all with Holly. So I'm glad that I got up to the point where, because like I'd said to her, like in the months leading up to it, I had Trans Gran Canaria, didn't I? But on my mind was just getting fit and strong enough to do enough running for Holly, basically. So it was good for me on that point of view as well. I had a bit of a goal.
A target. Yeah.
Yeah,
to
and again, although I'd done Gran Canaria, I knew that it'd be a bit of a push because of the time scales in terms of, yeah, if I have to do 100 miles, then it's still a lot. And I was glad to have. Don't get me wrong. When I finished at Prim and I knew I didn't have to do any more running, I was like, that's enough on that leg this week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a great experience for me as well, just to push it a bit as well.
And just talking about, because we've not touched upon kit, have we? Yeah. What you were wearing, you said it was sandy. So what did you find were the best shoes? I know you're supported by, I've got to get this in there, sports shoes and
So this
Salomon.
professional
Here
here.
we go. Yeah.
Never miss a trick, mate. Never miss a trick, mate. Yeah.
Should we
So-
interrupt for an advert?
And San Pellegrino. If you're watching,
Solomon.
So what?
I would have worn my sports shoe one, but it is so gross.
Have you kept it unwashed from
I
the
actually don't know where it
challenge?
is, but it's pretty gross. Even the white Solomon one, which I realise it's just covered in. It just won't come out. It's just blood.
I
I was
Um,
very impressed.
before Holly covers her kit, I got given one sports shoes t-shirt.
Yeah.
You'd already given
Sort
me
it
some.
out.
That's
So,
it,
so
yeah.
I had some. They're
Yeah.
all right, those running tops, but the one that I'd got was like a cotton one. But I'd forgotten my towel, so that was basically my towel.
Oh yeah, we didn't have any
really?
towels, did we? None of us had towels.
Pete had to do the same thing.
Really?
So it was
I
like
couldn't have had a wash anyway.
So
We had one flannel between us.
mine and Pete's balls were sponsored by sports shoes that week.
Gary's crotch, sponsored by Sports.
I've even incinerated that t-shirt.
We should
Yeah,
keep
wore it on
that
the plane
for the
home.
museum.
Yeah.
Me and Pete swapped shirts at the end of it.
You wore it as a dress, didn't you?
What did you run in though? Trail shoes.
I wore a
which
mixture of shoes actually. I wore road shoes. So I wore the Aero
ones?
Glide 3. Amazing. And I'm not just saying
Yeah.
that. Solomon.
They what you had on at the beginning.
Yeah. So I had the 2s originally they gave me. Because I've got to be
Yeah.
honest, obviously, I'd been sent stuff to try and I was like, as you all know, I worked for ASICS previously. And so I haven't worn any other shoes for like 10 years. So I put the Solomon shoes on and I was like, ooh, this is going to be hard.
Yeah.
And then I got sent the 3s because I had a look to see that they were coming out. I got sent 3s and genuinely loved
They're
them.
a big step up from the 2, aren't they?
Massive.
They're very different. Yeah.
Massive. I actually think I prefer them, believe it or not, and I'm not just saying this, I prefer them to the Super Blast, which is the
Oh,
shoe
wow.
that I normally wear. Yeah.
Wow.
I think because they
Yeah.
just feel more smaller on my feet
Yeah.
because I haven't got massive feet, but I found the others were quite clumpy.
What
Anyway,
are these called?
Aeroglide.
Aeroglides are really good.
Are these the same as the original glides?
They've
Yeah.
They've
Not the
changed,
same, but-
well, yeah.
But
they've-
they're completely different. They don't feel like
Yeah.
that. They're,
Before I
the
got
twos
that
are
injury,
awful.
I had the Solomon. I didn't mind. I quite like the Solomon glides actually.
So-
super cushioned. Aren't
Yeah,
they?
the 3s are way better.
Yeah,
and
I can imagine.
they're much lighter than Super Blasts.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for me, it was like, oh, wow, this shoe's amazing. The only thing I'd say is they were completely bald on the bottom at the end.
Really.
Yeah,
Just
the durability's
destroyed them.
not great,
Yeah.
but super comfy, had no issues. Again, no blisters, nothing.
Don't go running 300 miles in the desert. then.
No, I mean, I only probably wore those for about 150 to start with, which isn't, although I'd put some miles in for
What's your
maybe
returns
200.
policy like on desert?
Yeah,
rides?
yeah.
Back, I'm sure they'll take them.
Absolutely useless. I ran 500k and they were bald. And then I put on the oh god, I can't remember the new ones, the red and white, the trail ones, the ones with the waffle bottom.
Yeah,
They're
testing
the
me now.
the ultra
Ultra
glides.
Glide. They're Ultra Glide 3, I think, we're now out with as well.
Again, they're
Yeah.
really, really good. Again, they're massively durable.
Yeah.
The only thing I'd say, I think, with any shoe is they were just quite hot
Yeah.
because I was in the desert on the sand and I didn't have gaiters.
That was my next question. Did you?
It was really stupid because actually, originally, Katie had said, oh, the only ones we've got in stock are the ones with the gaiters. I was like, no way do I want those because
Yeah,
they'll be
they're
really
the-
hot. But actually, one of the guys who did it unsupported had those and he wore those and they were amazing. So,
Yeah.
but saying that though, I did quite a good job. I kept stopping if I got too much sand in to get rid of them. But as I said, and I'll say touch wood, that I historically never really have issues with my feet. I've never had issues. So I didn't think that I would this time, and I wasn't going to mess about with taping them or anything unless I had to, and I didn't really have to. So I wore those, and then at the end I also put on the Phantasmas, which I love.
Yeah.
But they didn't help me at all. My feet were totally screwed by that point. So
that was a final run-in.
Yeah, that was my final thing. And actually, I ended up changing back into the Aero glides because my feet were so painful.
Comfort by then,
yeah, I just needed some comfort, but nothing helped me in that last section.
Ultra question for you both. Do you get or take shoes for the latter part of those kind of races that are bigger than your normal size because your feet swell, or not?
I'd asked you that, didn't I?
Yeah, you would normally, but I did. I had the one pair. The Phantasmas were bigger. But I didn't. I took a risk because actually most of my shoes I have reasonably big anyway.
Yeah.
But my feet did not. This is another thing. My feet did not swell at all until after.
There's only certain questions I asked before. It was like, do you get blisters typically? Do
No.
your feet swell?
No.
This kind of thing, because they're the only things you need to. And like, if they're not an issue, then you don't. Because a lot of people will say, "I need to
And they'll
size
panic.
up. I need to do that. I need to do
they
this." It's like, well, you'd know by
You know
now if
what
you're going to
works.
get
Two
blisters.
things I will say that I have learnt from doing these long things, because I've done quite a few multi-days at high altitude as well, and this is why I was surprised that some people didn't do this, is the main thing you need if you're in any hot, when it's sunny, you must take full block for your lips. Because if you don't do that, that will kill you. It will ruin your race. It's so painful, the blisters, and you get blisters in your mouth.
Wow.
So I constantly was putting that on.
I used to get that going to Creamfields more than and V Festival. A mouthful of herpes.
Yeah, I was going to say that's something completely different. So always take full fat block, full
cornflake lift for a month after.
Factor block.
Sorry,
it's another talk show.
Yeah.
And also put it on your nose.
Yeah.
And then wet wipes.
Wet wipes.
Because if you are peeing like a racehorse like I do, you need wet wipes, or again you'll just chafe so bad.
Yeah. Good tips. Very good tips.
Wet wipes and full factor lip.
And I've got to ask you, Holly, what's next after this? Because that must have been the hardest thing you've ever done. Is it inspired you?
It was. Yeah.
Has it inspired you to do anything even harder, or like are you going to come back down on the distance now?
I don't know. It's not made me want to do something harder. I don't know what that would be, but so next I did have an entry for UTS 50K, but I've actually only just realised it's the same day as my father-in-law's 70th birthday, so I can't do that. But I have actually just been invited by Sir James Elson to do the South Downs Way 50K. So I'm doing that, which will be cool. That's quite a bit of a drop down.
Yeah,
but it's
still though, it's going to be hard at just a different pace, isn't it?
Yeah. So I've just got that. That's the only thing I've got.
Centurion race.
Yeah, I fancy that.
Have you not done one?
No, never done one. No, I'm a
Even that 50K,
short and sweet kind of guy as well.
Could do 50K.
We should do 50K. Still taking entries.
Yeah, I might have a go.
It's the World Trail Majors weekend. So it's 100-mile weekend.
Are you going to go down?
Yeah, I'm going.
Yeah, I might come down. I might give it a go as an experience kind of challenge.
And a Centurion race. Like honestly,
you don't have to run. Just hang out with me if you want.
Oh, that sounds better.
What are you doing? Are you out on the course then doing some?
Yeah, I'm doing some video and presenting
socials.
And stuff. Yeah, but it's quite relaxed.
For Gary's PA for the weekend.
Yeah. There's I'll wait until James
hand out lollipops
announces more about it, but it's much more production into it this year. So
I'll crew Gary.
Because he's got it's the 50 and the 100 on the same day and the 50K. Is that right? Is it all the same day?
He might correct me. No, the 50K will be on the Friday. No, I might have that wrong.
No, I think it's on Saturday.
Yeah, same day. Sorry.
Oh, is it? No, I think it's a Saturday.
Yeah, I think they're both on the Saturday.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Go and check out Centurion. But yeah, the same weekend as the South Downs Way 100-miler, which there's the 50K. So because they're part of the World Trail Majors,
and the 50's a different
you need a shorter
weekend.
Distance. No, it's not a different weekend. Same weekend.
Oh, it's all three races.
Yeah. No, 2 races. The South Downs Way 50-mile is a different weekend.
Oh.
The 100-miler and the 50K is the same weekend in June. Yeah.
Nice.
Robbie Simpson's running the 50K.
He is.
Oh, is it?
I saw that. I wondered if it was him, if it was the Robbie Simpson.
Yeah. And the 100-miler will be the most competitive trail 100-miler you've seen in the UK.
Really?
On the start list, yeah.
Why? Who's doing it? Do you know? What can you say?
Yeah, well, there's people like old school names like Jez Bragg's back.
Awesome. Oh, is he also?
Ian Sharman's going.
Is he?
Yeah. then there's some proper fast UK lads.
That is going to be
Rob
a nice
Payne.
one to get down to.
There's 10 on the start list.
Awesome. He did say that it was a bit
Incredible.
spicy.
Yeah. I think I'm allowed to say who's coming, but yeah.
Well, I think you can actually see.
I think
just didn't have a
ask
look.
James, he'll tell you better than me.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Oh,
it's
awesome.
just exciting to see
That
that
is gonna
like
be
a
exciting.
like
James
a
has pulled the names in there, hasn't he? That's
yeah,
brilliant.
and yeah, it's good to see because the UK deserves a fast race like that. I think. To be
Yeah, and it'd be
honest.
good. Yeah, let's hope it's hot.
Yeah,
Good in the heat.
last year was
You
really
are now, are you?
last,
Prepared
last
for
year
it.
was
You've
good.
done the training for it.
Yeah, 50k will be good. It goes
point to
around this bowl
point,
bit, and it's
yeah.
that bit of trail. Like last year when I went down to do some videos for him and stuff, was the first time I've seen it properly, and it's like you're not getting big mountains and stuff, but it's especially in that weather, just stunning trail,
Yeah.
and it's so runnable. So seeing fast guys run good times, like seeing Dan run along, it was great last year.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it'd be exciting because it's the first 50k there. So
Yeah.
Should
So
do it.
so the 50k will be great on that bit of trail.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Gives me a bit more time than if I was doing UTS. And I'll be honest, like
Rich
UTS
Gill's-
50 is
Rich
like the
Gilly's doing-
hardest 50k probably.
Gilly's
in
doing the
UK.
photography for the
Oh, is
50k.
it?
I've got
Ah,
him in.
great.
Well, I say got
Sounds
him in,
like a
but
good weekend then.
Yeah, so that'll be good.
Mm.
And what we also then need is maybe like a speed project in Europe, don't we?
Well, there is one in Europe. There's the Chamonix to Marseille.
Chamonix, our second home, Gary.
I know.
Yeah, we only do Marseille to Chamonix, unfortunately.
That's uphill though.
To finish, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting,
I
then.
think we should have one in the UK. I've been trying to think of what you could do.
No, it'd be shit in the UK.
Edinburgh to London
Or would it
is
be
400
like,
miles.
Is that what it is?
I googled
Yeah.
it.
Ah.
Depends which way you go though.
Edinburgh, that would be quite a good one.
Because there's no
actually.
point doing
Yeah.
like coastal path because there's only one way of doing
Yeah.
it, isn't there? Whereas if you do a point to point, I was trying to think what you could do.
Yeah, I suppose the closest thing is like Le Jog, isn't it? But that's a lot longer, isn't it? But
Yeah.
Edinburgh to London would be really good. Yeah, there you go.
Niels,
Well,
if you're
that's
watching, give me a call.
I'm not crewing that. I'm getting a holiday out of it. If I'm
Yeah, that
crewing.
would be that'd be shit. Can you imagine driving a massive RV as well? That's the thing.
Oh God, it's one thing in America, isn't it? But
Yeah.
That's
on our
one good
roads.
thing actually about that. I'd say is that
Roads are
for
built
that,
for it.
you could
Yeah.
put the big.
Yeah, you
big
quite
cars.
quickly get comfortable driving an RV. Like, I'm not a great driver, but yeah, once you get, especially once we were out of LA, it's like
It's like a
some of the
driving home,
RVs
isn't
that
it?
were coming into the places, like dwarfed ours. They would,
Do you remember that one we saw on that road?
Pulling RVs.
It was bigger than a coach.
Yeah,
And
it
it
was
was only
just-
2 people in it.
Really?
This old couple.
Yeah.
Talking
It was
about living in
massive.
luxury.
Where are you going and how long for? And these things?
Yeah,
It's like,
you're just living in there permanently.
Yeah, it's definitely an experience. And actually, while we're here, I did actually want to give Gary something.
Oh, here we go.
It's not that sports.
Two fingers.
Sports shoes t-shirt back.
Hang on, no, that's not it. You weren't at the
Where you pulled it out of?
pool party. Here is your medal.
Oh,
look at this.
Right, here we go.
Oh, that's class.
This is your.
That is pretty cool, actually. So just for the people
That
listening,
is the official
we've got like a
No
neon
Spectators.
band lanyard, and what does it say on it? Is it like a poker card? Isn't it like
Yeah,
a
it is
playing
an
card?
actual
spectators.
poker card.
No, that's really nice, isn't it? So it's a playing card with that engraved on it.
Thank
That is
you,
cool.
Hal.
That's all right.
That is
I've
very
actually
cool.
got mine in the car. I should have brought it out, but I got you get dice with it.
Show Ben
I
your
like that.
tattoos.
Yeah,
Have
the
you had
tattoo
these done
that's
since?
the tattoo that's come off.
We went for
Yeah.
Holly went for a tattoo.
Oh, nice.
It says
As I said, no blisters. It's on your feet, isn't it?
There's the camera.
it says sports shoe.
We'll get
forever.
loads of views out of this.
Okay, it says it's for the runner to suffer. Life is richer that way.
I like it.
And
I
I
like
was
it.
just-
Wait, you had the other one? Oh, you got that one
Yeah,
first.
I've
That's
seen
the
it's
one
come off.
I went with. That one's come up.
Yeah,
Was that a real tattoo or was that a
you know, when you said it
Sharpie
was felt
tattoo?
tip pen. I think it probably was.
Been robbed there.
$80 that cost me. Yeah, no, it's because my skin's so thick. I'm having it redone. I'm
I was
gonna
gonna
have
say, go
another.
somewhere.
Yeah, another. But
And
everyone
you've-
has the tattoos.
You've got the other foot ready for Chamonix
that
to
was so
Manchester.
painful.
Bet it
getting
was.
Done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bet it was.
But yeah, it had to be done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very nice.
So,
oh
yeah.
well. Congratulations, Hall.
Thank
Like,
you.
honestly, what an amazing achievement. It's been
Thank
really
you.
nice listening to all that. Cause it,
Well, we
like,
could have talked forever about it.
Yeah,
There's so
we
much.
could probably
Yeah.
do a few episodes, really,
Yeah,
couldn't we?
it is.
We've
like,
almost had
and
to
things
skim
are
over
coming
that.
back to us as well. I think
Yeah.
that's the thing. Like, I've been dreaming about it every night. I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
I'm back there running in the desert every night. It's just painful.
Do you feel like physically and mentally you've recovered or not? Because it's not
physically
that long ago,
not
is it?
that, but it's only
No.
just over 2 weeks since I finished. I physically sort of, in terms of skeletally, I feel fine. But I think, under the bonnet, you've got to be really careful. I would never jump back into doing. There's no way I'm going to be on the track doing smacking out 400s or anything.
No.
Well, if I did, they'd be painfully slow. So I do really respect that side of it.
Plus, it's a well-earned break. Like, I know
Oh,
from
love the
behind the
break.
scenes, like you put a
Definitely.
lot into that, not just the actual race. From the minute that you knew you were going, like the
Psychologically,
training, the
physically,
logistics, the everything that goes into it. You just need to give yourself a break, don't you?
Yeah. I mean, the logistics, the finance
Yeah.
side of it as well,
Yeah.
and just all of that. It's been you're just hanging out to get. Before we went, I broke everything down into stages to be. I said stage 1 is getting to the airport, stage 2 is the flight, and we did all the stages, and it worked out as 9 stages until we got down to Cornwall.
Wow.
And we got down to Cornwall that night and cracked open a 0 beer, and we were like, that's it. We've completed stage 4.
Yeah.
And that's it now. We just need to just recuperate. But I was saying to Gary, I think it's quite common for once you've done a big event or challenge or something, and it doesn't have to be, I could say, like, it's because London Marathon for people, anything that you've been building up to,
Yeah.
you can become quite down or, depressed after things like that.
Definitely.
And
Put so
actually,
much into it.
yeah, you put so much into it, and it's like, what next? And it's like a big adrenaline drop. But I think for this, I haven't felt really like that. I did feel very emotional the first few days afterwards, but I think that's probably more hormones and things. But this, I think because Pete was there for all of it, we were able to talk to each other about it and talk it through. And all these guys still, because we're still on the WhatsApp group, and just have a laugh.
Yeah, can't
Whereas
leave
I think
that without it being very obvious.
Whereas other people haven't got that, and you go back and you tell your husband or wife what you've done, and they're just like, yeah, great, okay, what's for dinner?
That's it. Yeah. You've got to park it there, haven't you? But at least you
just
can
shut
keep
up.
living
It's so
it, can't you?
boring. Stop going on about it. So that's really helped. So it hasn't been that big a downer for me, really.
Yeah.
It's just been an amazing experience.
That's good. Well, I think you're already talking about doing something big again, aren't you? Which is great.
I mean, I
Even
have,
so soon
I mean,
afterwards,
like I
so.
said, it's,
Yeah.
it's in my mind.
So we'll watch this space, eh?
Yeah.
Well,
Let's
thank
see.
you.
Well, thanks for coming up anyway, because it's a long drive for
Oh, it's
Holly.
nice. No, it's been good. Thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah. Because I said to Ben, I said, I'll definitely invite her because it'd be great to have her on. But
I've been like asking to be on here. Remember? I think I messaged Ben.
Yeah. I did
begged.
say, yeah, I gave it the all clear, Gary.
Oh, you actually
Gary's-
have a bit of a conversation with him, did you? Yeah. Bribe him.
Well, I just
I just
said
said,
yes
wait
straight
until
away.
she's done
And
something.
I got told off. Yeah, he said you have to do it first. So don't let her on that easily.
Can't have her on twice. So.
That's it. Never again. Never again.
I'm only joking.
We'll get you on soon, Holly. Definitely.
Yeah.
No, thanks. It's been a pleasure.
No, thank you, and thanks to the dogs for being so well behaved as well.
Oh, look at that. What have you done?
I
Drugged
know.
him?
Yeah, she's really quiet, hasn't she? It's been
That's
great.
it. Yeah. Must be a calming influence, not
Yeah,
like.
you see. It's so boring what we're talking
yeah.
about. I think that's what it is.
She's tired just thinking about the speed
Yeah.
project.
It's
That's what
good.
it is.
From my point of view, it was
Yeah.
good though. Like obviously, the lads and people have asked how it is, but like Holly said, I went home and went straight into husband and dad mode kind of thing. So it's like, yeah, obviously, Charles was interested. How did it go? It went well. That's it.
yeah, that's it. Yeah. Buses parked.
It's
You must have
it's
been
a little
knackered
bit-
though when you got back.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
only exhausted from doing it, but also you had to drive back
Yeah.
and then jet lag, and then you had to get straight back into it.
I was all right for the first few days, but I got home on the Sunday night, and I had to sort the kids out on the Monday. That it's my job on the Monday, which is fine because I had the day to sort myself out. But on the Thursday, I was in Snowdonia doing that Harrier work thing, and then by the weekend, I think my battery had just ran out.
Yeah.
I was meant to be at that Grand Traverse event.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
And yeah, it's just I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I didn't.
I needed to get to that weekend and then have that weekend
Yeah.
off. And I literally, I didn't go on social media or anything. I just chilled out with the kids.
Yeah.
And then I felt all right then. But I did feel like I knew you were knackered and everything, but I just felt like that week I probably pushed a little bit too much in terms of jumping into things.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, it took like that. Definitely that first week afterwards, I was no good for anything.
No, I can imagine.
Yeah, mentally and physically, just.
And I didn't have specific jet lag, as in I wasn't waking up at random times. I managed to fall straight back into the normal sleep pattern. But what I did have, it was like same time in the afternoon. Every day I was like falling asleep.
Yeah,
literally.
same.
Going to do the school pickup. I'm going to fall asleep here.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like 5 minutes ago I was fine.
Yeah.
It was just,
Hit you in waves.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it was, so it's been been therapy for me to talk through the ordeal.
Yeah.
Nice to reflect. It's been a bit good time. Yeah. So we should close it off, shouldn't we?
So next time you do something worthwhile, we'll have you back on.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Got to go through all that again.
You're all right.
yeah, I'll pass. There's other podcasts in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Is
there? Excellent. Without further ado, see you next Tuesday.
Nice.
Oh,
cheers, Hal.
Thank you. That was really good.
That was brilliant, Holly. Thank you.